Well, this is different. One, because we now have
You
four
know?
people properly in here, the core actually fits the screen, so there isn't barely any black space around it. It's genius.
And I can actually see you this time, because most of the times lately, Ashley, I've not been able to see you on my screen.
Yeah. That's when I should have brought in the mask again, because I haven't bothered to move it in the 2 weeks. Mainly because the one bit of glue that's on the polystyrene here is like, I need to re-glue it or something. So, shoddily made stuff. What a surprise. Anyway. We've got a like
So,
already? You're smashing that like button already, chat? My word. You're fast.
So I was trying to outrun I guess in this case, outwalk the bad weather. And I'm extremely indecisive sometimes, as you should know by now. I was like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And I was like, I had a plan this morning to do. I was going to run this morning. I was going to weigh myself. Depending on what my weight loss was, or lack thereof, would be what I would do tonight. So I'm getting closer to that next weight loss milestone, which is 155 pounds. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? At the end of the day, didn't get that. So I had to decide that they got these things at Culver's called like flavor of the day. And they've got a special flavor that really kind of piqued my interest. It was like espresso toffee. So it's like espresso custard with like toffee, which to me is heat, which is like the key to happiness. And like butter cake and like dulce de leche all together. And I was like, yes, this sounds great. And then I heard the lightning and the thunder, and I was like, nah, that's not going to happen. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go anyway. So I grabbed my umbrella, put on my water park hoodie, and it's like, let's go. And that's the reason I'm on location right now, about to tell you what the tornado sounded like. God, what a weird opening. Hi, live chat. Don't worry, I'll get to you as soon as I'm able to actually see a screen. Ashley has access to the chat, so we'll be good.
So yeah,
welcome, everyone.
Whoa.
Welcome, everyone.
Shit. Wow, was that was that the Wasp from Ant-Man versus the Wasp?
I'm literally on the side of a road right now. Anyway, my name is Owen. Joining me as always, we have Ashley.
I'm literally on the side of a pack of falling DVDs, probably.
It's going to happen one day, and it's going to be entertaining to watch. Also joining us, we have AJ.
Yeah, I have something to bring up, but I guess I'll mention that after we've opened.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And I think we can pretty much say without any reserve whatsoever that the newest member of the team is last joining us. Last but certainly not least would be Chris.
Evening.
All right. His Richard Karn introduction aside. Or is that Bob Vila in this case? It's still going to be Home Improvement regardless how you look at it. So yeah, we got a lot to talk about. This is our Q&A show exclusively here on the Popcast Network, which you get to do what I've been doing left and right for the last week and a half. So this wonderful little gimmick through Instagram called NGL, which is amazing. And you find out some really interesting things. No one knows what the answers are. We don't know who's asking these questions. So anybody that's asked me any questions along the way, thank you. Positivity is always good for me. And otherwise, we'll never know who asked these questions. So it's interesting to see what comes up. And yeah, I posted on the Twitter feed, and basically it's just what this Q&A show is. It's just going to be asking a bunch of random and not so random questions and not get hit by pedestrians that are just coming around me or cars. So yeah.
Aren't you the pedestrian?
Well, I had this Mizark with a bike a minute ago that was going 30 miles an hour. So I was like, kind of nervous on that one. So yeah. But yeah, that's how we're going to start the show off. AJ, you had something you wanted to say before we get started.
Well, it usually comes up when we lose somebody. So I guess the first thing I need to figure out is, has James Caan been mentioned in the chat? Or do we need to do that ourselves?
Hang on. I'm scrolling through. There's a lot of things have been talked about. We've got more fake stuff from Josephine as well coming up. Doesn't seem to have been touched on yet, but I think we should.
Interesting.
Because usually it's like, you know, what was our favorite role? And I was going to just say like, oh, here's some reasons why James Caan was great, and I basically have a full eulogy here. So
Wow.
By
me.
Yeah. So I mean, did anybody else have like thoughts on that in general?
It's sad that it's only I only realised until it got put up after his death that he was the dad in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and like that sort of that speech that he doesn't want to say himself, but the monkey translator thing does. Like that's actually like one of the most heartwarming sort of father-son talks that's ever been committed to film. And it's in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. But, you know, a whole plethora of range of stuff. You know, okay, he was known for sort of his crime stuff in the early years, but I appreciated his contribution to sci-fi with Alien Nation, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the name exactly. And then obviously, like, so much of the kids and family stuff. You know, Elf, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. He was in another animation in the last few years, wasn't he? I'm trying to think. Can't think off the top of my head. But yeah, a good wide breadth. He wasn't just, you know, he wasn't just Sonny from The Godfather. Honest.
Oh, do you have the ability to mute until you're like saying something? There's a lot of traffic there.
Of course.
Right,
we
have the power.
Brother, did you have anything on the James Caan front?
I didn't know until he passed away. Apparently, he had quite the Twitter game.
Yeah, that's what I heard also.
Yeah. Like, he would put something and then just end of tweet.
And then there was because he tweeted about Ray Liotta, but he didn't say end of tweet. And when somebody said, "Aren't you going to say end of tweet?" he basically told them like, "Go fuck themselves." He said like, "This isn't the time."
Which I feel like is the perfect James Caan response.
Yeah, because what I wanted to go into was if you were to single out a performance, I would say most people, if they've seen it, will probably say Thief. Because it's like, and even though it's like kind of a generic answer, apart from like Sonny, there's a reason. Yeah. The reason Thief is the go-to answer is that it's pretty much like everything that he was known for, but basically at its absolute peak. Like, he considered it and Sonny Corleone to be his best performances. And it's like, when you watch that movie, it's like when he's, and this is something he was always able to do, when his character has a certain profession or a certain thing that he's supposed to be an expert at, you fully believe that he's been doing that like his whole life. Like when he says, and when he's talking about his work in Thief, you get the idea that he's been doing that forever. And I feel like you kind of get that in Rollerball also, when there's that scene where he's going through like the rules and like how to play, and he's talking to like the new teammates. And you just get the sense that everything he did was like so lived in. And the way that he can switch from like calm to like intimidating and deadly. There's multiple scenes in Thief where he's looking for money that's owed to him. And And every time you get the sense that somebody's gonna die in this scene. But then in the same movie, you also get the scene in the restaurant where he talks to Tuesday Weld about his life in prison, and it's like you get the sense that this is a guy that's seen some shit. But if you were to see it like without audio, it just looks like a guy talking about anything in his life. And I think, and then not even to mention that Thief has probably one of the best climatic shootouts of all time. So if you haven't checked out Thief, you might want to. It's Michael Mann's first movie. And you could see where not only did it was it the birth of Michael Mann, it was basically the birth of crime movies in the 80s, because it was like 1981, and you can see the influence like throughout the entire decade. But yeah, like obviously The Godfather's a go-to. Brother, you mentioned Misery. I love the fact that he's almost kind of underrated in Misery, isn't he? Because all the love goes to Kathy Bates.
Yeah.
But Kathy Bates will be the first person to tell you that one of the reasons her performance is as good as it is because of the way he plays terrified desperation in that movie is accentuating Bates's performance the whole time.
Yeah, I mean,
if you didn't have his...
I always saw it as sort of basically... I know it isn't officially a two-hander, but obviously the predominant bits are just them two. The one needs to be able to play off the other, so you need to have one just as good as their game as the other. So
yeah, and it definitely will accentuate a scary performance when you have somebody that is as believably scared as we should be or would be in particularly that situation. And then Ashley, you were talking about his diversity, where he has like a lot of not even just family-friendly stuff, but just light stuff in general. Like there is in Elf is like we were talking about the father stuff. If I have a chance of Meatballs, the father stuff in Elf also like surprisingly hits hard in ways.
Same year as Misery was Dick Tracy. I see Honeymoon in Vegas, Mickey Blue Eyes.
Yeah, an insane amount of comedies. Another one that I don't think gets enough. I don't think many people know it, but it's called Kiss Me Goodbye, and it's like this light comedy where Sally Field is going to marry Jeff Bridges, and Con is the ghost of her ex-husband that's like haunting them. And it's like just this really nice romantic comedy, and then his romantic dramas, but both the ones with Marsha Mason, I think both of which she scored Oscar nominations for, Chapter 2 and Cinderella Liberty.
Yeah, I forgot.
And it's like
he was in Funny Lady as well.
Yeah. And it's like I think he hit every genre. And what's funny about that also is we were talking about how he's mainly known for like his crime roles and his really serious roles. But like when you look at all the stuff people said about him, and brother, you were talking about with Twitter, apparently he was like one of the funniest people ever. Like Robert Duvall has so many stories about him. There's that one in particular where I can't remember who won that year. It was when Shelley Winters was nominated for the Poseidon Adventure, and Duvall was announcing the nominees. And Shelley Winters had it out for Duvall for a long time, because when Duvall said Shelley Winters' name as a nominee, he burst into laughter. And his defense for that later was the reason he laughed was because James Caan was in the crowd making faces at him. And Duvall has like I feel like almost any Robert Duvall interview you can find, he tells some sort of James Caan is hilarious story. And I think Sandler tweeted the same thing, or something similar, about how he was always laughing with him. And it's worth noting, talking about Sandler, I do think it's funny we're talking about how diverse he is, because I don't know about anybody else, and I don't know about you, brother, but I'm almost positive the first time I ever saw James Caan was in Bulletproof.
Yeah.
Does that sound right? But I also want to talk briefly on his very first part, or his very first credited part, which was a movie called Lady in a Cage, which was a thriller with Olivia de Havilland, where she's in like one of those house elevators, but she gets stuck in it, and he and his crew are like a home invader that comes in, and he basically terrorizes her. And there is a scene that is so unnerving where it's already clear that this character is insane. And remember, this is his first movie. This is like his first actual role. And he has this little monologue where he talks about how he's never going to have children because his gene pool is too fucked up at this point because he's so insane. And it's like for him to be at that level of insanity and be aware of it and just has decided to surrender to it. It's a really fascinating character in this movie that's just kind of this typical thriller. It's from 64, I think is when it came out. But I highly recommend that to anybody if they can find it. And I think the last thing I wanted to mention was I don't think he's gotten enough credit for how much he's been at the beginning of a lot of careers. Because if you're like a first-time director or you're a new director, it's a really big gift to get a really high-caliber, prestigious actor in your movie that will give it like the push that it needs. And when you look at it, like I said, he's the star of Thief, which was Michael Mann's first movie. He's in Bottle Rocket, which was Wes Anderson's first movie. He's in Way of the Gun, which is Christopher McQuarrie's first movie as a director. And as far as like early careers, like he's in Countdown, which is Robert Altman's second movie. The Yards was James Gray's second movie, and it was obviously it wasn't at the very start of it, but I think Coppola was only 3 movies in when they did The Rain People. And it's like you can see like not only is he just like lending like that being a gift to directors, but it's like you could sense that he could spot the talent really early. Because all of those names I just mentioned are Michael Mann, Wes Anderson, Christopher McQuarrie, Robert Altman, James Gray, Coppola. Those are like some of the biggest names ever in this industry. And he was like right there at the beginning, and also talking about how prophetic Rollerball has been lately, as it goes on, and it's like it seemed like he was so far ahead of the game in so many aspects. It's crazy.
Definitely.
So I think that's my James Caan eulogy. So.
Right. Chat is busy. I'm going to say hi to people as I scroll up the chat as we get to the start. So, hi to Cassie, to Bry, Timothy Knight. Vaguely remember your name. Owen will probably pop in now and say, "Oh yeah, it's that person." Lorraine, Josephine.
Hi, Tim.
There we go.
Here he comes.
And Spencer, who has Spencer has the first question, which is a follow-up to the last one. Which, considering it's 2 weeks ago, I'm hoping he did his homework. Any answer on the screenplay question, AJ?
Oh, just a really all over the place one that I don't. I don't know. By the way, any of you guys want to chime in as well, but you know what? The thing is I was thinking about this question a lot. And it was especially coming up when I was watching Thor: Love and Thunder, because it's always when you're watching something bad that you realize what makes something good. But I think it's just like first the cop out answer is it depends on what the story is. Because like there's stuff that can be strictly character based, and it's like as long as that stuff sticks to the character, it doesn't really matter what the plot is. But then if something's more, I think character comes down to it the most, because while you can have a character movie that might have a little bit of plot that doesn't really matter as long as the characters are strong, it doesn't really work in the reverse. Where you can have a story that has a really strong plot, but if the characters are shit, then who gives a shit about the plot? So I wrote a Western that I finished a couple of years ago, and while the plot is there, and something that I did want to tell, the stuff that I got the best feedback on about that script was the characters in it, where it makes everything feel lived in, so that when the action comes into play, then everybody that's going to be affected by it. So, even if there's just a side character you've only met like twice, if that character made an impact, then anything that happens is going to make an impact. If it affects the characters in some way, which I would certainly hope whatever your action is going to affect the characters. So But then again, there's also, because I think the question was just in general, like what makes a good script. There is also stuff that's like I wrote something else that was Jacques Tati inspired, which is no dialogue and limited characters, just sort of moving around and getting into situations, and it's like I said, I'm wary to say anything about what I've written out, thanks to Sean Baker. But
The way you describe it, it's like Buster Keaton meets Magnolia or something. If it's no dialogue and all sort of like people sort of crossing over each other.
Yeah, I hope I made it clear that the Western and this one are two separate.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, the silent one is actually a short one in an anthology.
Right.
It was the anthology one that I talked about in our Mummy video, where I said that I got a 3 out of 10 because they said it was exceptionally well written, but they were just really disturbed by it and it made them feel bad, so they gave it a 3, and that made me really proud.
Quick, send it to Jason Blum. He'll just pick it up. He shovels out something every month.
Yeah, if I can pull a Tarantino, if I can just sell a script enough to make my own movie, then that's the goal anyway. So if Jason Blum wants to take something I've written and fuck it up, then he can have it, and I'll spend the rest of my life making the stuff that I want. Hopefully. But yeah, did I get anywhere with that? And that's not 2 weeks worth of an answer, I know.
No, I feel it's always sort of that, depending on the situation, you're going to want more dialogue rather than sort of like good scene setting, but then otherwise sometimes the scene setting's enough that you can get away with slightly ropey dialogue, but you know, it's just getting the right blend for whatever genre or demographic you're trying to hit, you know, because obviously an adult comedy is going to be different to sort of a family. I was going to say family comedy because I've seen children's comedies. They never work because it never connects with the adults, and the adults are bored. And then when you get the adult comedies that the kids are going to get bored of, it's sort of like, again, it's that sort of like you've got to pitch it sort of right so it appeals to both. In that respect, so it's just a case of like the best thing is to dip your toe in the water and, like AJ says, get the feedback and whatever, and then you know just treat it as constructive criticism, not this is shit. You know,
I think there's another key. I think another key, if you want to talk genre specific, would be, and like I said, this doesn't always work. You have to be kind of careful, but like if you're going for suspense, something that really helps with suspense is doing long scenes. Obviously, Tarantino's mastered this, and there's stuff where it's like there's so many movies where I feel like they would have a really great scene, but they keep cutting back and forth between one scene and another, and it's like if you just keep the audience in one place for a long time, as long as the scene keeps building, that would be great. Not to boast again, but I was once told in actual legit feedback that I had a masterful hold on suspense because I wrote a scene where a teenager gets in a car with a guy, and it's already known to the reader that the guy is going to kill this teenager. But the scene of them in the car, I wrote 15 pages. And the person giving me the feedback from the Blacklist said that was a masterful display of suspense, which I take a lot of pride in. So that's just some examples. But like a full-on definitive answer, I'm not sure.
Spencer continued, just watch the verses on Gift versus Dead Zone. Love Dead Zone, I've only ever watched the series. And the Gift was okay, but I'll give it another chance soon. One of my favourite verses so far.
Wow, really?
Next up is Wolf Creek
That's-
versus Wrong Turn. I've heard of Wrong Turn, but can AJ describe what Wolf Creek is going to be about? I mean,
it's very simple. How would you describe it? It's basically your average.
It's Australian, so it's sort of like an out. It's obviously got elements of The Hitcher because it's based on sort of like people getting picked on the road, but it is sort of like a grounded horror. I don't want to say Texas Chainsaw Massacre because like that implies that it's sort of it's horror certainly, but it's in that vein of like, I don't know, what's the one I was thinking of? I guess it's sort of elements of the Wicker Man, like the town seems a bit creepy, but like it's mainly the sort of guy.
Where you feel the whole time like the characters are in a place they don't belong.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I'd say.
It's definitely a slow burn, so prepare for that.
Yeah. like a fair bit of Australian stuff. It takes a while to Proposition took a while to sort of get into gear. What was the one? Oh, the one with what's his name? The Ned Kelly one, the true history of Ned Kelly that came out last year or the year before. That takes a slow while.
Yeah.
The original one from the 60s didn't. The Heath Ledger one, I'm pretty sure, didn't to some extent either. Can't remember. I saw that when it came out and haven't seen it again. So Josephine, hey Popcast team, now living in my new place. Great to hear. Hope it's doing well for you. Now that Next Goal Wins is delayed to next year, that's news to me. I guess that means that Banshees of Inisherin and Empire of Light will be Searchlight's main priority. See, that's the thing. If it's I never establish whether Searchlight and 20th Century Studios are now actually different entities. Because the reason I say that, and well, at least I can give an opinion on this, but I don't know who anybody else has seen it. Thoughts on the Amsterdam trailer? I know that AJ doesn't watch trailers, so we'll get no response to that. Chris, have you seen it?
I have not.
Owen?
No, I haven't got a chance to watch a movie in a while. I'll be back at the theater, I think it's next week or the week after.
So having now seen the trailer, I'm confused because it's David O. Russell's line of "this may have actually happened" thing, which I'm pretty sure is the same thing that he used for American Hustle, wasn't it, or something like that? I think
That sounds right.
It's got shades of American Hustle in it because they do seem like hustlers, but then it's sort of got some. It's got some weird sort of like early Coen Brothers dark vibes about it. Possibly just because Christian Bale's character's only got one eye and he has to keep putting it in some of the time. Because it's set in like the 20s, 30s sort of time. It's not what I expected, but with the cast that it is, like, wow.
Yes, brother, have you seen the cast list for Amsterdam?
I have not.
Right.
Let's go
to
down.
Wikipedia. So the lead three are Christian Bale, Margot Robbie, and John David Washington. They're the sort of the friends that become prime suspects of a 1930s murder. That's all that's been said, but I'm trying to work out whether they don't really hint at the murder. Well, maybe the murder is hinted at in the trailer, but they don't actually show it. So the other people, we've got Chris Rock, Anya Taylor-Joy, Zoe Saldana, Mike Myers, Michael Shannon, Timothy Oliphant, Andrea Riseborough, Taylor Swift, Matthias Schoenaerts, Alessandro Nivola, Rami Malek. Well, sorry, as the poster says, with Rami Malek, which probably means he's in it for about 10 minutes, and Robert De Niro, which probably means he's in it for about 20. And that's coming November the 4th.
Is that one of the most eclectic cast lists? Is that one of the most eclectic cast lists we've had in a long time?
That's a murderer's row. That's for sure.
With Lubetsky on cinematography and Hilda Guanadotia on soundtrack as well. November the 4th.
I think I had heard that she had to leave for some.
November the 4th. Well, obviously, we had Thomas Newman doing the score of No Time to Die until they just randomly changed it a few months before the original, 2019 or 2020 release, when it became Zimmer. So we have had sort of somewhat last minute changes, but my guess is I don't know where they'd submit Amsterdam. I don't think there's no gossip yet as to whether this is showing up at TIFF or London or what the trying to think what the other big ones.
I think TIFF would make sense.
TIFF, Tribeca.
Because Russell. Because I don't think. I mean, well, I can't say Russell doesn't have the pull he once did, because obviously this cast, but I don't know if Russell has the prestige he once did. Does that make sense?
Well, I think
this is his first movie since, right?
This is his first film since Joy in 2015. Yeah. And looking at his other work, because I thought, what's he done between then? He's done a short film with Prada in 2016, and that's it. He's literally done nothing. And all the sexual misconduct and stuff that came out via the Sony hack was before Joy even came out. So
yeah, I was gonna say, was it a lack of projects or was it his shit reputation?
That's all I know.
Because he's always shit reputation.
Maybe he's been busy with. Maybe he wanted to focus on Ghetto Film School or whatever it is. Because they've been doing stuff for 20-something years now there. So, and it was only announced in 2020. So very little. Maybe he's just been struggling with writer's block. I don't know whether this thing's real. Speaking of Amsterdam and Christian Bale, Anchorman, Amsterdam. Apparently David O. Russell was involved with Anchorman somehow as well. That's why I got distracted. John Boorman's Hope and Glory or Steven Spielberg's Empire of the Sun.
Hope and Glory left more of an impression on me, but I haven't seen Empire of the Sun in a very long time.
I'd say Empire of the Sun. I think it's. I don't want to say it's an underrated Spielberg because how is it? But a lot of his other stuff, I think gets put ahead. Whereas I think that's just as strong a film as most of his other work, including that Columbo episode. So here's Josephine's Buy One, Rent One, Lose One. The topic this week, Chicago movies. Irony, Josephine does not put Chicago in Chicago. But what we do have is Backdraft, the original Candyman, Cooley High, Fugitive, Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, High Fidelity, Medium Cool, Road to Perdition, Widows, Thief, Midnight Run, The Untouchables, and iRobot.
No Adventures in Babysitting?
I'm just more surprised that Chicago didn't show up in the list about films set in Chicago. But there you go. Oh.
Was Ferris Bueller in there?
No.
Oh man.
I was trying to write those down as we went so I wouldn't forget. I missed
Was the Blues Brothers in there?
No.
Oh man. This is making it difficult.
I think from that list, I'd probably buy Untouchables. I would rent. I'd rent Road to Perdition. Just because, like, that's where we got the first international sighting of proper Daniel Craig, not the Tomb Raider film. Because I'm trying to remember, was he in the first Tomb Raider film or the second? Because I forget which
He was
one
in the
Jared
first one.
I forget which one Jared Butler was in and which one Daniel Craig was in. And, like, boy, did they, that's one thing that they don't want on their CVs. Well, compared to some of the stuff that Jared Butler's done, maybe he does. I don't know.
Daniel Craig was the first one.
Right.
And then before that, he was in A Kid in King Arthur's Court with Thomas Ian Nicholas.
Oh my god.
I just know him.
I always forget that.
I just know him from. There was a series over here called Our Friends in the North, which was like set over 20-something years. And so they made them, they put heavy makeup on, to change them, from young person to old person. And after like 20-something years, they're finally repeating it over here to celebrate 100 years of the BBC. So if you're in the UK, please watch it before it disappears probably off the internet, unless it's on BritBox. In Miracle of Miracles, they put it on there because that was such a great drama. Oh, and the one I get rid of, I would say either Cooley High or Medium Cool, because I have heard of neither of them personally.
I saw Cooley High when I was like 11, so it's very vague. I'm kind of embarrassed to say that I have not seen Medium Cool, but I hear amazing. I think it's a Robert Forster movie, and I hear it's amazing, but I have not seen it yet.
I would probably buy Road to Perdition, rent The Untouchables, and then get rid of one of the ones I hadn't heard of.
Yeah, we watched it last week while I was still down there. Untouchables is still really good.
Mm-hmm.
I'd kind of forgotten.
For me, Road to Perdition's more of a personal choice. Like, Untouchables is probably the better movie, but Road to Perdition resonates with me more.
That makes sense. Because I was thinking Perdition at the top, but I also love Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, which is still missing from either Criterion or Arrow. One of them needs to pick it up. Much as I hate to say it, I might have to oust Widows. I feel like there were so many missed opportunities in Widows. Ways that it had a lot to say, but yeah.
I was thinking of putting it in, but I think the TV series that it's based on is overall stronger, mainly because the story of that happens in, I think, 2 or maybe 3 series over here got wrapped into like 2.25 hours to some extent for the Hollywood version. But I appreciate McQueen trying to do what he did with it.
Yeah, it's in this weird middle ground where it feels way too long and way too short at the same time. But you can see where it was clearly a story that was meant to be expanded on, the ideas that it brings up. So I could definitely see. I don't have experience with the series, but I can definitely see it working much better that way. While it's come up, I also need to mention that in the last just couple of years, I've grown kind of obsessed with Candyman. I've lost track of how many times I've watched Candyman just in the last couple of years. It's just like for a while there was just like a go-to for me. There was a time where I was watching, like I was sitting here, it was like 3 a.m. and I couldn't sleep, so I was like, I'll just go ahead and watch Candyman. I didn't even turn on. I just watched Candyman in the dark, and it didn't even like freak me out because it's just such a well-made movie. That's all I was thinking about. I was like, this movie's really good.
I'm slightly.
I mean, there's certainly, you know, disturbing moments in it, but yeah, I can just watch Candyman in the dark apparently and be perfectly okay. And that's why I say it's not always a testament to horror movies if they're totally and completely scary or not. If they're just really, really well made, they can get by on that. So, yeah, that was kind of a detour from the Chicago thing.
I was sort of disappointed there because we've got Owen back in vision now, and there was sort of like a pinkish hue on him. I was getting a bit pinkish hue on him, and I was just getting vibes of Only God Forgives, and like all the pinkish hue of the neon lights and whatever.
No, I need to actually go back to the now that I can look at the chat and actually interact with everyone. Hi everyone, I'm back. It's really, really warm outside. Rocking the AEW shirt now, which is what was underneath my hoodie. Back to what Josie's buy one, rent one, and sell one. AJ, you know me better than anyone, and I'd say easily, without any question, I'd have to sell Candyman because it's obviously that's a kind of a thing that was a problem with me growing up, and I'm just getting rid of it because, nope, that's not a thing.
In a way, that's also a compliment.
Yeah, it is. And there was a lot of rumors going around that it was coming to Horror Nights this year. Yeah, we'll see how well that worked out. So I'm not gonna say any more than that, but it's hard because I was trying to come up with, I was trying to listen like you were doing. You actually had the ability to write down all the choices. Can you run that list by me again? Because I got to figure out which one I want to buy and which one I want to rent. Because one comes to mind, but I'm pretty sure I heard one that I need to buy.
So taking out the Candyman can.
Yep.
Backdraft, Crawley High, The Fugitive, Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, High Fidelity, Medium Cool, Road to Perdition, Widows, Thief, Midnight Run, Untouchables, and iRobot.
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious, honestly, and AJ, you probably should know this as well. Chris, I know you know this too. The easy answer to buy here is High Fidelity. It's me we're talking about here. I love that movie. It's so good, and yeah, I would have to rent Road to Perdition. Just sitting in that theater watching it for the first time, when that gun goes off, it just jolts you. I can only imagine the poor, unfortunate soul that was walking that movie at the time that happened. And that would startle the living daylights out of them. It did happen to you. That's right. I remember that.
It was me, and I was so pissed off because I was supposed to watch it that night.
I know. I remember that.
Yeah. So I knew what was going to happen before it got there.
Yep. I remember we also know somebody that had that same problem with The Departed, where they walked in at the absolute wrong time.
You are absolutely correct. I will be able to witness chat in a minute. So yeah, hi everyone. I'm actually here now, so don't really have much to say based upon the three of them pushing the show along. It's worked quite well as I was trying to mute myself from traffic. I don't know if he's still here, but I see Tim joined for a little bit. Welcome to everybody that's in live chat right now. I'm sorry I haven't had a chance to get here. I got here as quick as I could. To be fair, it didn't take as long as I thought I was going to take, so that's good. And AJ, I'm sure you're not surprised when I say that I've already watched movie for tomorrow, so very much ready to talk about something that I still can quote to this day and proved it when I watched it yesterday. I know that movie almost word for word, and I was like rattling off the dialogue before it happened. It was like my own personal version of Rocky Horror.
Just in case some of chat has disappeared for Owen.
It has.
Okay, so if you were an English teacher...
No, it hasn't.
Okay. I got to Josephine asking if you were an English teacher, what books would you teach?
Oh boy. Honestly, I think I'd probably have to go with Elmore Leonard.
Nice.
I really like Be Cool in every way possible. I love the book. I love the movie, and I'd love to be able to talk about it. That'd be fun.
Speaking on the crime stuff, at least in terms of like semi-modern stuff that isn't in the curriculum yet, I think like the crime writing of Linda LaPlante or Ian Rankin with their Prime Suspect or Rebus, however you want to look at it, TV stuff. I'm wondering when that's going to turn into movies, because it probably will eventually. Something could be done with that, like looking at the way that they are sort of looked at. Certainly.
I got one more. And it's what we're talking about here, so it makes sense to go with it. I'd have to go with A Walk to Remember.
That's a pretty big jump from Elmore Leonard to A Walk to Remember.
That's what I do, apparently. I bring the comedies to movie club, and I bring the oddness to the Q&As.
It's like, here's a guy that basically helped change the face of crime and the different ways you could see crime stories. And then here's Nicholas Sparks, the guy that kills people for no reason.
Yes, being Greenhouse will never not be funny. You know this.
Nobody will be surprised by my answer, but I will go with a literary genre that doesn't get enough attention as a literary genre. I would teach comics.
That's fair. Teach the words. Teach Frank Miller and Bob Kane and.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I remember I had a very after I dropped out of school, I had a very, very brief stint of homeschooling. And you actually suggested an assignment where I got the graphic novel for A History of Violence, and you had me write a paper on the differences between it and the movie. And there are a shitload, by the way.
Makes sense.
I guess, and nice segue from Road to Perdition, also being in the same vein. I would love to.
I would also recommend Watchmen to students. Watchmen would be one that I would put at the top of the list.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I would love to see some essays and discussion on Cormac McCarthy. I think that'd be really interesting. Especially from people like you can find essays anywhere from people who are like deep into him, but people who are like, I'd love to hear from people that are like reading him for the first time. Would be really interesting. I guess you could maybe throw Pynchon in there also. I'm not as into Pynchon as many others, but like I said, just the discussion sparked alone would be very interesting to read and listen to.
Best and worst film adaptations of a book, in your opinion?
Are we talking about the movie being quality or being a kind of not so great adaptation of the book? But the movie could still be good.
We're looking at the. I think we're looking at like who did the best at adapting it from book to film, and who did the worst.
I know one that I would put for me, and AJ, I didn't know this till you read the book. If you read the book and watch the movie, Jaws is two completely different stories with two completely different focuses.
Yeah. I've heard like pretty much anybody that's read the Jaws book says that the movie is significantly better. Like it's not even just that the movie's great. I think people just genuinely think the book is not good.
Most of the shark is literally in the first part of the book. This much. Here's the affair. Here's the end. Like the shark is the shark's essentially a side quest.
I don't want to necessarily be this person because I like the idea of being open and creative with your own interpretation, but I mean, some of the best adaptations are the ones that are just word for word, like cut and paste. Like anytime the Coen brothers have adapted a book, like No Country for Old Men and True Grit, and Rosemary's Baby is literally cut and paste out of the book. And I almost feel like the movies are better for it. And I feel like the Coen brothers especially understand that because they barely change anything when they adapt a book.
I think that's another reason I really like The Late Shift. And that's the reason why I've connected to it so much throughout time, is because of the fact that, like, word for word, the book is in the movie.
How was it?
Say one of the worst ones is, I guess it's not based on a book, it's based on a literary character, but like the weird comedy version of, I don't think it was called Hound of the Baskervilles, but it was inspired by that Peter Cook and Dudley Moore did in the 70s, where Watson became like this comedy Welsh bloke, and for some reason Peter Cook played Sherlock with a giant Jewish accent. Yeah, that's one of the worst adaptations. One of the best, I still say, is On Her Majesty's Secret Service, because when everybody else tried to change it a lot, Hunt tried to obviously go within the parameters of what had already been filmed, and which is obviously out of order of the books, because I'm trying to remember, is it Diamonds then On Her Majesty's then You Only Live Twice in the books?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen the rundown of the books in a long time.
I know You Only Live Twice is the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be that.
Yeah, because I think I do remember that the movies did the Blofeld movies backwards.
Yes, it might be that. Yeah, but adapting it, and arguably the only sort of major plot hole is, why does Blofeld not recognize Bond and vice versa? They're supposed to be the same person from like a year before or whatever. So, but other than that, I still think that's very well done. Any adaptations for you, Owen?
I mean, it goes back to what I was saying. It's like The Late Shift. I mean, honestly, I would say, sounds horrible, I don't really care at this point, Lolita. The book and the movies are both very different, yet very similar at the same time. And both versions of the movie are different than the book, and very similar at the same time.
As far as bad adaptation, I'm not really passionate about this one way or the other, as many other people are, but I figure since we're having this discussion, we might as well bring up World War Z, because that's usually the go-to for adaptations that were in name only.
I'm trying to work how much of this is just hatred, though, at Mark Forster, because he hasn't done a very good script in a while. I mean, he had The Kite Runner, and then sort of like everything since has really not been that good from him. Or projects, at least. Quantum was a mess, but that was admittedly because of the writer's strike.
His new movie had his new movie had a trailer on Thor, and I actually looked up for a second because it was like, is this a Wonder trailer? Because I know I had no idea that's what that was.
Guys, they actually are doing trailers for that, my word. Whether they're attaching that over here, I don't know. Random question from Josephine. What song would Obi-Wan sing in karaoke? Johnny Cash's cover of Hurt.
Can I say your song by Elton John?
Which one Obi-Wan would sing?
Yeah.
Well, with Jedi being a religion of some sorts, I would go with Living on a Prayer.
And for a second there, I thought you were going to live and let die.
We're halfway there. Oh, and he's in a chair. Doom Part 2 has begun filming in Italy. It's like Camp Arrakis.
Yes.
How would you, AJ, how would you set up a Dune-themed summer camp?
Oh my god.
I know it's not the same
Desert's
thing.
not.
I know it's not the same thing, but you need... There's this thing over here called like the Worm Charming Festival where people use forks and whatever to get worms to come out the ground, and then it's like the people that get the most amount of worms like win the competition. They need to have that just on a small scale and just say, look, it's the worms coming out the sand.
Yeah, I was going to say, because desert would so not be exciting for children. It only kind of takes us back to turning it into a theme park.
Yeah.
Is all you can really do.
Because I feel like if you did a summer camp for Dune, it wouldn't look that different from the summer camp in Holes.
Yes.
I don't know how much character building there is in the Dune universe, Chris.
By the way, just going on the silence here, that was a reference to a line in Holes and not a criticism at Dune.
Thank you. I knew you'd get that reference.
Although for Owen, it possibly is a column A, column B situation.
I'll use Frankie for that.
Speaking of Dune and Austin Butler and Baz Luhrmann, apparently as it goes, have any of you seen Strictly Ballroom? Yes, that's when he was really good, and then he went off the rails sort of with Australia, and he hasn't sort of got back since.
I was talking to Owen recently, and I had a revelation about Australia. Because I was thinking, I don't really remember much about Australia apart from just it feeling like a drag, and I just wanted it to end. And so I was looking, because I had talked when I did my Elvis review, I had said, I'm pretty sure Elvis is Lerman's longest movie by far. And I was like, while I was talking to Owen, I was like, I have Australia on Blu-ray because I'm a Kidman completist. And I looked to see what Australia's runtime was. That fucking thing is almost 3 hours. It is longer than Elvis. And I was sitting there like, okay, so we went to a theater. We sat in a theater and watched Australia for 3 hours, and I completely forgot about it. That is a long, unbroken period of time to just forget to the abyss.
Fair.
It's no wonder time feels like it's on fast forward. It's because movies like Australia exist.
Oh boy.
Oh, AJ, speaking of movies I watched recently, this is a little off topic, but I watched Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe.
Dang it.
Is it not the funniest shit you've seen in a long time?
Dude, it's right up there. There's a line in there where I about pissed myself. Do I reveal what the line is?
Yeah, you probably. I said a few on TV.
It's
box.
It's when they're in the car and Butthead's like, now we just need a car. And Beavis is like, Butthead, we're in a car. And Butthead goes, you're on your A game today, Beavis.
It's funny. It's funnier and better than Do America, isn't it?
I think it might be. I think they surpassed it.
Drop box tonight.
30 years ago today, Cool World, Prelude to a Kiss, and Universal Soldier came out. Also in that month, A League of Their Own and Honey, I Blew Up the Kids.
Okay, that's more like it.
I
fucking hate Cool World. Have I ever said that yet?
What do you hate?
Cool World.
Oh.
Oh, God.
Spencer has the biggest crush on Ana de Armas. Thoughts on her? I don't think she's done a bad project. Or a bad role.
Yeah, because
Deep Water's messy.
you typically
but it just about survives.
Yeah, because when somebody is that beautiful, there is, much as we hate to say it, there is always that likelihood that that's going to be the only thing that gets somebody hired over their talent. So we see a lot of beautiful people that are shitty actors a lot. But when some of them can break through like her and really surpass that completely, like, and just everything she did in Knives Out alone, I feel like puts her above a lot of people we see right now. And I'm pretty confident about the Marilyn Monroe thing.
Well, where is it? Yeah, Josephine does say that she's wonderful, and looking forward to seeing her in Blonde. My only reservation about Blonde is that it is Netflix, and we're getting to that point where Netflix isn't going to make these films anymore. So, in terms of what's happening,
they have that, but at the since they're letting the NC-17, he was, and because I feel like Dominic's one of those directors where you kind of wanna let him do whatever. We've talked before about how sometimes letting directors do whatever can be really bad, but if it's the right director, it can be really amazing if you just let them go. And I feel like Dominic's one of those guys.
The running time, at least according to what the Daily Beast says, so is this getting premiered somewhere? Is that how we know? Oh, it could be coming to Venice, possibly. Well, that's the aim to. That's the festival I forgot about. Venice. That'll be the other big one from the end of August to early September. The big thing for her is actually this week, which I'm guessing will be AJ's main review, because I can't think of any major stuff coming in the cinema. I say that, and AJ's going to say this film. The Grey Man on Netflix, she's co-starring in, alongside Gosling and Chris Evans.
I know it's I was thinking, I think Netflix is putting it out at the end of the month. It's getting like a theatrical run? Yeah, I think I did hear that.
Yeah, a limited release this week, and then it comes officially on Netflix itself. I misread it. It's coming to Netflix streaming on the 22nd.
Yeah, because I read the book for The Gray Man, and while it is very like light Tom Clancy, but I was not surprised at all to learn after I read the book that the author apparently took over for Tom Clancy, which makes perfect sense. I could see that being huge for them, not just because it's Gosling and Evans and the Russos, but the book, I have a reservation though. The book is literally wall-to-wall action. Like, the book never stops. And I feel like if they can manage the action well, like they did with like the Winter Soldier, that could be a really good thing. But I also saw that it's only PG-13. And while usually I wouldn't think much of that, the book is so brutal, I'm afraid the movie's going to feel watered down. There's a point in time in the book where Gosling's character steps on a guy's face and it describes how his jaw dislocates at the moment of impact. And it's like, we're not going to see that. And that's kind of a bummer.
Just looking, the other big films this week: Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank. apparently we need more.
I'm also excited about the Gray. Worth noting, I'm also excited about the Gray Man because I'm very curious to see Chris Evans play a villain again. That should be fun because he's usually pretty good at
that. Where the Crawdads sing. So I'll get. UK people will get advance warning because I think that's coming out the week after for us. I think.
Yeah. I'm going to assume that's going to be bigger than I thought. Not only are they building up the Taylor Swift song, but I got the book from the library after putting it on hold, and they actually changed their checkout thing to where I have this for like a third of the time I usually would because it's in high demand. So I literally only have like a week with this.
Wow. That's how popular the book is. Even though it's only been out for like 5 years. I mean, the fact that it's on pre-order for tickets over here shows you how crazy they're hoping that to be. Even though it's not it's not like a blockbuster, I would have thought. And I don't know how popular the film is over here. Or sorry, the book. And then the one that I saw the trailer for, which looks pretty charming, Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. Although I don't know how much of a release that's going to get in America. But all hail Jason Isaacs, that's all I need to say. Right, back to the chat.
Yeah, there was a person when we went to the Men in Black Phantom event last week. There was a poster in Hollywood for that. By the way, off the topic, real quick. I guess we're not really on a topic at the moment.
Is there any topic in the Q&A?
They've been really pressing that Phantom Events is dropping the ball. I guess because they really fucked up their showing of The Thing.
Big
and
time.
I guess some people said they had problems with Men in Black also. Brother, I don't think we had any problems, did we? Everything looked pretty stellar.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing anything.
We saw Men in Black and The Fifth Element looked amazing. And sounded amazing. And I don't remember they were. I think one of the complaints was they felt like stuff was like it was a TV edit of Men in Black with stuff cut out of it, but I don't think anything was cut out of ours. And I've seen Men in Black at least 100 times. I think I would have noticed if something was gone.
When Martin McDonagh's Banshee of Inisherin comes out, they should do it in a double feature with that and Darby O'Gill and the Little People. Bit weird. What isn't Martin's brother John something McDonagh?
Yeah.
Because I saw the trailer for his new film. That thriller thing with Matt Smith and Ray Fiennes and Chastain and whoa.
I knew one of them was doing a Chastain movie.
Yeah.
I'm much more excited about Martin. John's never really done a whole lot for me. Like he did The Guard and Calvary.
Yeah.
Those didn't hit me near as much as a Martin movie does. Okay.
I can get to. I'm trying to work out what to do for that one. Spencer says the greatest love story told on film. I mean, this will bring up war wounds probably with Owen, but I would say La La Land. Because it has one of the most honest endings that there is. The best plan doesn't go to happen.
And our answer, Alonzo Harris and himself.
I love of all the narcissistic characters, that was the first one that came to mind. I mean, if we're on Denzel, I'd say Troy Maxon and himself too.
Yeah. I now understand that reference after you stayed here for a week.
Finally. I feel like I want to go with a romantic answer, but I feel like Ashley's on the right track. Where it would be one that like is more real.
Silver Linings Playbook.
It's not like something that's gonna be sort of like Romeo and Juliet and sort of very fantastical. I feel the best love stories are the ones that look genuine. Another one, just so somebody else can have La La Land. The portrayal that Manville and Neeson did in, I think it was called Ordinary Love, a year or two back, about her dealing with her cancer and whatever, but the relationship that they were still having despite it all was very, grounded and real and felt genuine, and so I'd give that one a shout as well.
Yeah, because the way I'm thinking... What was that?
I was just going to say, as far as a real relationship, it doesn't have a happy ending or anything, and it's not even really, their love isn't the great part of the story, but I think a love story that's very accurate as far as how people feel is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Ooh. Yep.
500 Days of Summer.
Because I'm trying to think. I'm thinking about my favorite romance movies and movies that have like made me emotional that are romance movies. But I don't. But then there's like 3 different answers you can have here. Because like I could say Titanic just because when I think of romance movies that I love, that's probably the first one that comes up. That and Breakfast at Tiffany's. But then again, they only knew each other for 2 days. And Breakfast at Tiffany's is questionable in a couple of ways, but it's the ending where she's looking for the cat and it's raining and it's nice. But can I also say Scorsese and his love of movies in Hugo?
Some sort of love, I guess.
Oh, I'm surprised you didn't throw Casablanca out there.
Casablanca is a really good example. I didn't honestly feel like it's such an obvious one. I wasn't even needing to say it.
So this is the one that I'm confused about. Josephine asks, favorite choking scene in a movie.
Vader. For me, it's got to be Darth Vader. Darth Vader or Londa choking Bridget Von Hammersmark's good too.
That's the better one for me.
When I hear the word choking, the first thing I see is Diane Kruger's bulging eyes.
Mm-hmm. It's a tough call between that and Vader because Vader's is a way to introduce him as badass, but Landa's is so fucking personal.
The opening scene, this is my 3rd Cormac McCarthy reference. The opening scene of No Country for Old Men is high up there. If you'd call that is choking and garroting is probably 2 different things, isn't it?
I think so.
Slightly.
Can I also throw an honorable mention out there for the first Austin Powers movie at the end with Random Task?
Okay.
Are you thinking of the... I think a better example would be Patty O'Brien in the bathroom.
Oh, that's a good one too.
This is weird because at first I was like, oh, that's a really weird question, and now I'm like really trying to think of choking things.
I would say Day of the Dead, because we never definitively found out whether the zombies did choke on all the guts of the Colonel.
I guess I could also bring up John Bernthal and Sicario, but obviously I don't like seeing Emily Blunt in peril, so I can't say that. Though the line "I almost had sex with my hitman" is a great line to follow it up with.
Chris, I can go with Cuckoo's Nest.
Cuckoo's Nest is good. Well, is that more of a smothering?
Yeah, it's a strawberry.
Yeah. It's still listed as one, though.
I want somebody to tune in now and think we're all fucking psychopaths. It's like, I like the idea of that being a choking, but I think it's more of a smothering. But either way, it's a good one.
Okay, let's lighten the mood with who would you rather be your bus driver? Jack Burton from Big Trouble in Little China, or Keanu Reeves, whoever he was in Speed?
Jack Traven.
I'm going Jack Traven.
Though Jack Traven never drove the bus.
No, he didn't.
But I would say him anyway, just because I have it out for Big Trouble in Little China. I think it's one of the most overrated movies fucking ever. And I even have a video with the Fifth Element where I explain that. So
Can I just say Chris Farley and Billy Madison?
Can I go with Miss Crabtree from South Park?
T. Harris from Forrest Gump. Come on.
Oh man, I think it's got to be Dorothy Harris. I think it has to be. That's a great choice.
I mean, I do love Bubba Gump, even though they did block me on Twitter, but I don't care. It's still, I love that one.
So you never got that? You never got that figured out?
No.
Just because it will get lost, just because this will get lost in the sea of Josephine things. Also, so it gives Owen a chance, so he can get to read them out in a minute. Favorite Friday the 13th film.
The first one is the one I've seen the most times. I really like the characters in 3, but I think as far as like best, and I don't think I did a Friday the 13th video way back in the day, but I don't think I had found this appreciation just yet by then, so this might be new. The 6th movie is so incredible. Like, the 6th movie is where it really reaches self-awareness in a way that I think is really... 6 is a lot more clever than it looks. And I kind of love... And, like, especially when we actually get to see kids at the camp, and then what that happens there, and the way they interact. Like, when the kid says, what did you want to be when you grew up? I really love those, but I also love the twist in 5. I think 5's really underrated, because 5 has a lot of detours. People that are just introduced just to die. But I still kind of love 5 too. I think 5 might be my actual favorite, but I feel like 6 is the most clever.
I have a soft spot. I know it doesn't have Friday the 13th in the title, but I would still consider Jason X to be part of the franchise. Just because, like, that literally is the most left field thing that they did, I think, with that franchise. It's the most Halloween free that it's like got very little to do with anything to do, just that the character somehow exists in space. That's it.
I got a little bit more respect for Jason X when I talked before about that show on YouTube, Adam Green's Scary Sleepover, where he has the horror icons over to his house and they talk shop. He had an episode with Todd Farmer, who wrote Jason X, and he went through the whole process of what happened, and he said, like, they initially wanted to make Blade Runner with Jason, but for budgetary reasons, they basically settled for Alien with Jason, and that's kind of what they were going for. And the way he describes it's like you can see where his vision was, but also how it went wrong. But yeah, and obviously the Cronenberg cameo is amazing. Anybody else have a preference?
I was gonna say.
I think I'll just always be partial to the first one.
It's weird. It's like, I mean, everybody here doesn't really know, but it's just like the irony of the fact that I love Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure, but I've never seen Bill and Ted. And I don't mind the Matrix sequels, but I've never seen the original Matrix. And I've never seen Terminator or Terminator 2 and everything like that, but I've seen the other movies. The thing is, I'll go back to that the same way with Jason Voorhees. I've only seen the theatrical movies that have been in the time frame that I was working at the movie theater. I've never seen the original Friday the 13th.
I'm trying to think what would
Never
that.
seen any of the. See, I wasn't a Jason guy. I mean, Jason fought the good fight, he killed all the couples. But I mean, and I've been saying that for years. So, and I do love the death via what is it, sleeping bag? I love that. That's great. Against the tree. That's awesome. Love that.
Bear in mind as well, that's in the simulation. That isn't real. That's this.
But still, at the end of the day, like I wasn't a mark for Freddy or Jason. Obviously, everyone knows I hate Leatherface.
In the 7th movie, he does the sleeping bag kill for real.
Oh right, yeah.
I guess
is it Takes Manhattan where he knocks somebody's head clean off?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, Julius.
Wasn't that the boxer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the only reason I know that I've seen.
I do not care that is the worst movie of the bunch. And I also don't care how cheesy it is. I think that scene is unironically amazing.
So does that mean probably the only ones you've seen of Jason would be possibly Jason X, Freddy vs. Jason, and the remake they did in 2009?
You are absolutely correct.
That was really clever of the remake to basically combine 1, 2, and 3 into the opening. For like the opening, I think the opening of the remake's like almost 20 minutes long, isn't it? Before we get the title.
Right. I mean, I guess by proxy of elimination, I'm gonna have to go with Freddy vs. Jason, which is one of the worst houses we've ever done in Halloween Horror Nights.
Freddy vs. Jason has a terrible fucking script and terrible fucking performances, but the final fight is incredible.
And that's one of the things I liked. That's one of the only things I liked about our house, actually, was the fact that they actually had that fight. And it's funny because no matter what time you went to the house, either you saw Jason win or you saw Freddy win. And I thought that was kind of cool. Because, like, Jason would win, and then Freddy would have, obviously, his head would be in Jason's hands, celebrating. And then, of course, when Freddy would win, he would just have Jason's hockey mask. And I thought that was a cool way to do it.
Right, so hopefully Owen has got chat up and can see
I do have chat up.
It's time for fake Oscar pitches.
Oh, these are always fun.
Fake biopics.
See, Josie, we need like a little jingle ski for you because I'd like to do that. I want to create like a Price is Right style, like game show style entrance theme for you when you throw up these fake Oscar pitches because I feel like I'm like on the Gong show when you do it, and I like that feeling. So keep that up. You can keep the emojis in chat as well. We appreciate that. I do, at least. FakeOscarPitches.com. Let's go.
First up, art projects at Terrazin. The story of Friedel Dicker Brandeis, a Jewish woman who taught secret art classes, another shot, for the children of the Terrazin ghetto. Then, I feel that this is put here on purpose. Donkey Library.
Probably.
The true story of a traveling library in Colombia that distributes books to patrons from the back of 2 donkeys that was founded by Luis Soriano. We also have the donkeys' names, by the way, Alpha and Beta. Oh my word!
I'm assuming these are real, like
yes,
stories.
This is real. The 2 donkeys are called Alpha and Beta.
I mean, dude, she's a shoot librarian. I would say they're probably real.
The First Magician. The story of Richard Potter, an American magician, hypnotist, and ventriloquist, who was the first American-born magician to gain fame in his own country.
You didn't even have to go any further. You know that's the one I'm picking.
The Oldest Student. The story of how Mary Walker learned to read at 116. Teaching Alice Cogswell. the story of Thomas Hopkins Galladay's teaching relationship with a young deaf girl named Alice Cogswell. And then the final...
Yeah.
Oh, no, that is the final one.
The one about the 116-year-old woman that learns how to read is definitely going to be a movie in the future. Is definitely going to win makeup and is definitely going to win actress, whatever it is and whoever it is.
Honestly, I'll tell you right now, that's a Frances McDormand movie. And
I can actually also imagine a lot of these as live-action shorts.
Josie, give me anything magic-related all day, every day. There is no way I'm not picking The First Magician. That's all you had to bring up was magic, and you've got me immediately.
So I'm guessing that means by default your favourite Christopher Nolan film is The Prestige, right?
Cool. If it's not, it's real close, because I love Prestige. Speaking of twists at the very last minute, I remember the first time I saw that, and I was like, oh, this is incredible.
My mom
But
and I
honestly, at the
go ahead.
At the end of the day, I really want more. I want more Houdini in my life. We need more Houdini movies. Greatest game ever played made me realize that Shia LaBeouf needs to play Eric Weiss, and I'm still sticking with that casting all these years later, AJ.
If he can keep himself out of fucking trouble.
Yeah. Can we get a Harry Blackstone movie, please?
Did you ever end up seeing Death Defying Acts? Or I think it was Guy Pearce that played Houdini, was it?
I was going to, but it was one of those things that I just kind of had writer's lays, and then I didn't want to do anything. I just kind of wanted to just laze around, and I ended up not watching it.
Any of those take your interest, Chris?
I'd probably agree with Owen. I'd like the magic one.
Right, Josephine continues, my mum and I were watching The Amanda Show on Paramount Plus. The character of Penelope is the original Stan. God, I hate that term. If this were today, she'd probably try to DM her on Twitter. Yeah.
Isn't it? First of all, technically, Devon Sawa was the original Stan, but she's definitely up there also. The Amanda Show has so many good memories. Like, so much comes flooding back.
It's weird though, because I was an all that guy, so it's just like that's my Amanda Bynes that I remember. I never really watched much of the Amanda Show.
All this is going over my head because it never got, I think, released over here, and if it did, I was not made aware of it. So.
Yeah, people talk about what we lost when Lindsay Lohan had a downward spiral. Amanda Bynes was insanely talented and insanely funny, and that show really showed it off. There's so many like catchphrases from that show that probably pop into my head randomly daily.
That's fair.
Favorite movie car, as in like which movie car would you want to drive?
I think me and Chris have the same answer. We just got to go which.
The Keaton Batmobile.
The 1954 Lincoln Futura for the 1966 Batman TV series. Probably with a Parksy license plate at this point, with the Voices of Liberty like around it, or maybe an AEW one as well. AEW vanity plate on the front. We'll go with that. AEW Parksy. There you go. That'll work.
Well, obviously, I struggle to answer this because not only have I not driven, but even sitting behind the steering wheel of one of those arcade games, my anxiety eats me alive. But I feel like I'd have a really basic answer, like Cameron Fry's dad's Ferrari.
That's fair.
Just something smooth.
Car? Too dangerous.
What was that?
Stuntman Mike's car, of course.
Well, I'd be very protected apparently. So
Bandit's Trans Am, of course.
I think right under Keaton's Batmobile, between Keaton and Adam West, for me, it's got to be the DeLorean.
That's a good one. Then I can actually do stuff with it. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm. At the comic shop that I bought, Giant Adam West, they had a Mr. Fusion there.
Maybe the Ecto one, but I'd be too scared to drive it because I feel like me being in control of something that big would probably not end well for anybody.
I would love to say Ecto 1, but I can't because I have an inherent fear of hearses.
I don't drive, so it's not even an option for me.
I suppose I wouldn't mind something destructive as long as I knew nobody would get hurt. Like if it was just like an abandoned area, but I could have the full effect, like Bale's tumbler.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't get Bale's tumbler, actually.
With your luck, though, you would accidentally trigger the system that just pops the bat pod out, and then...
I can't remember what models of car it was, but one of the two cars that's in Ronin, in the big car chase between, you know, the baddies and the goodies, mainly because it's a car used in the famous chase, but looks like a normal car that wouldn't look out of place and would like get stolen and get caught out with.
Actually, I think you'll agree with this one. I can't drive stick, but James Bond's Aston Martin DB5 would be up there too. One from Goldfinger.
I mean, yeah, but I think the fans. I have more of a charm, which is why it was nice to see it back for the. I can't remember what DB it was. The Vantage from Living Daylight. Who needs an ejector seat when you can just blow up the entire car? That's a better distraction. Looking back at from Spencer, looking back on the 2008 Best Actor race, did Sean Penn deserve it, or should it have been Mickey Rourke or somebody else?
Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, I gotta go with Mickey Rourke too.
I mean, if we're going non-nominees, I would say Colin Farrell for In Bruges.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Of the nominees, definitely Mickey Rourke. Though I was so all in on Mickey Rourke in 2008 and 2009 that I was pissed about Penn's win.
Yep.
But over time, I'm not mad at Penn's win. But I still think I would also be curious to see where Mickey Rourke would be now if he had won. I feel like it kind of. A lot of people like to say like, "Oh, the Oscars don't bother them," and they're whatever. But I feel like there's a lot of people have been very hurt by not winning when they were a front runner.
I think for Mickey Rourke, it's a combination of not winning the Oscar and then Iron Man 2 not landing the way people were hoping.
And wasn't he cut? Wasn't a lot of his stuff cut from Iron Man 2? Because
I believe so, they started focusing more on Sam Rockwell.
Yeah, because he had like a whole beef with Marvel over it or something.
Mm-hmm. I know one thing that worries me, Owen and Ashley, you guys probably have some insight on this too. I'm really worried that Ric Flair watched The Wrestler and got the wrong idea of what the story was trying to tell.
He's got one more match, and we're not talking Terry Funk one more match. That's for you, Tim. Comedy for two is still comedy. The thing is, I will say right now that he's doing one more match. StarCast. They're promoting it as such. He's got a major bendy. He's got that. They're doing the really interesting thing. If you take a picture with Rick, you actually can get like a version of it, like a life-size version of it you can take home of yourself and Ric Flair, which is really interesting to say the least, for like $300, $400.
Oh, man.
Good job, Conrad. Way to be jam up. Honestly, though, if he's going to get one last match, I mean, there's only one answer, because obviously granted this is like going away from the conversation, but I don't care. You brought up Ric Flair, so I'm about to say something. No, obviously there's only a few options that really make sense for the final match to be, and Ricky Steamboat's out, so there's only one option. Sting.
It was good
Tony
enough
needs
for
to let
WCW 20-something years ago.
If it's against
last
Sting,
match on
if it's
Nitro.
against Sting in pure Ric Flair fashion, when the match ends, Flair needs to shake Sting's hand and then one more time, just for old time's sake, kick him right in the dick and leave.
Well,
the
Sting's
weird
done so many amazing things right now, so anything's possible.
that card is so weird. We know practically every
tell me
other
about
single match that's on that card. Yet, despite the fact this card is literally called Ric Flair's final match, we still don't know who his opponent is, and it's happening in 3 weeks.
I know.
AJ, do you know about any of this? Because I know you don't follow wrestling as much as the rest of us do.
No, the last thing I saw was just a couple of days ago. There was that article that gained a lot of traction about how Ric Flair was supposed to be in some Bond-esque movie in the 80s.
That doesn't surprise
I
me.
saw that too.
Knowing his behavior, though, it'd be more like Cannonball Run than James Bond.
Oh my God, Ric Flair and Cannonball Run, please sign me up now.
Speaking of which, to tack on to fake Oscar pitches, I would watch the hell out of a movie about the plane ride from hell.
Oh God, yes.
Yes.
This card is so weird. Good Lord. They've added a few matches since I last saw it. Now, I know the original pitch was supposed to be a tag match, but if you look at the card, it's a singles match now. And then there was a time
Wasn't Jay Lethal supposed to be involved?
that never kind of went to fruition. It was going to be a 6-man with FTR and Rock and Roll Express.
Mm.
That was an original concept. Then it became a tag match with Ricky Steamboat. It was like, nope, that didn't happen. And now it's like the thing that makes the most sense. You want to do a tag match, you do Flair and Andrade versus Sting and Darby.
Yeah.
But I like Sting and Flair. I think that's perfect, and I think it's a good final exclamation point on Ric Flair's career.
Plus, Sting can still go.
Yeah, he can.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
AJ watched me flip out and jump through 4 tables.
Imagine
I watched you flip out when that happened, and then I watched you flip out afterwards when you Googled his age.
I mean, I didn't have Sting being Jack on my 2022 bingo card, but here we are.
Mm-hmm. And he's doing it where he always should have done it, right on TNT.
You know it. With Tony Schiavone on commentary, just like nature intended.
Yeah.
Josephine's got, following up, I guess, from the car stuff, who would win in a car chase? Pattinson's Batman or Popeye Doyle from French Connection?
Oh, Popeye Doyle, I think, without question.
Well, Pattinson's got the more indestructible vehicle.
But I think
What's
I think Popeye's a better driver, though, overall.
How angry is Pattinson in this race?
Oh, that's a fair point.
Like, are we at the end where he's like okay with people, or are we in the first 15 minutes of the movie where Popeye Doyle is fucking dead?
Well, I don't know. Angry Gene Hackman goes a long way, too.
Speaking of, favourite performance of Hackman's?
Man, I don't know if it's his best performance, but god damn it, do I love the birdcage.
I don't think it's the right answer, but let me look to see what other options I've got.
I'd say
I'd probably have to go.
I'd generally go with
the
conversation.
Yeah.
Jinx.
Ooh.
Jinx! We jinxed it.
It's
We
been a
literally
while
said it
since
at the
I've
same
seen it.
time, even though via delay, it was actually like 3 seconds apart. But I tried to work it out, and then somehow we still jinxed it. Yes!
I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember really enjoying him in Unforgiven as well.
Yeah.
And plus, he's the original movie version of Lex Luthor, which he's really good at, too.
Royal Tenenbaums, of course.
Yep.
Yeah, World Tenenbaums is a good one.
I'd give an honourable mention as well to Poseidon Adventure, because in those sort of disaster movies, the main person didn't get killed off. I think I can get away with that as a spoiler, considering they literally remade it with Kurt Russell, similarly doing the same thing in 2006. So,
If I'm not mistaken, this year's 50 years since the original came out. If I'm not mistaken.
yeah, 72. It would be.
Yeah.
By the way, very funny. we're
AJ,
having
do
this
you
conversation.
foresee a Fathom event?
I don't know about Fathom events, but I know of a Versus that's coming in September.
Oh, there we go.
It's like I said, like I only bring this up because you mentioned both of them. Obviously, I'm doing a remake week in September.
Yep.
So
Oh, there we go. So
we'll get to have this conversation at some point.
that'll happen. The last 3D movie. Spencer's asking the last 3D movie that we saw.
The last 3D?
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness.
Same. It was the only showing I could watch.
I think the last time I watched a 3D movie was probably because I had no other option, and Owen would have still been here.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have paid a 3D price for any. I might do that. I was thinking about it. The next 3D movie I'll probably see is Avatar, which I'm assuming is 3D. But apart from that, I never worry about it. It might have. I don't know if it would have been. Do you remember when we saw Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2? And it was halfway through the movie before I realized I was missing a lens.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I knew 3D's been shit lately, but this is ridiculous.
Did you have that John Denver's full of shit, man?
No, it always goes back to that wonderful like work meeting where like Ralph was putting over the 3D. I was like, hey, hasn't everybody seen the movies in 3D? And everybody's like, nope. And I go, and they're like, oh, you watched Sex in the City in 3D? I was like, yes, I did.
They released that in America in 3D.
No, you're thinking it was the reason you make that mistake is that Sex and the City 2 was the first digital movie we had.
That's
when
right.
we first got 3D. The first 3D movie we had was Shrek 4.
Shrek 4.
And they came out at the same time. I think the memories are coming together.
Tell me about it.
I remember I was so fed up with 3D by 2013 that when we saw Luhrmann's Great Gatsby, I just watched half of it without the glasses and was fine.
Yep.
So I don't even like it got to the like I was telling you about Dread, where it was like people were like, "Oh my god, we missed an opportunity to see Dread in 3D." I genuinely don't even remember if we saw Dread in 3D or not.
I don't know, but I could be wrong.
So the last thing I remember seeing in 3D, I think, was the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs thing. But I'm sure there was one after that. But like I said, we only went to 3D if we had no other choice time-wise. So I don't even remember.
Chances are, AJ, it's something I built.
Probably.
Because I remember building a lot of 3D trailer packs right before I left.
I'm also trying to remember what had like specific glasses, like
Oh yeah.
that had the designs on them, but I don't remember. I have a full collection of those somewhere, but
They're actually at my mom's house, so you have more access to them than I do.
and I have the ones that I have are probably where all the fucking VHSs are that are somewhere in a deep cave.
Unless my mom's basement's been flooded and ruined them by now, which is always possible because that always happened back in the day.
I'll always regret I didn't get that Lion King standee when I had the chance.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to think.
Speaking of 3D, does anybody think with the Marvel movies coming out in 3D that when Deadpool 3 finally comes out, that it's going to have some kind of 3D gimmick with it? Would anybody be surprised?
Who cares?
Ryan Reynolds' life force is gimmicks and memes, so probably. By the way,
AJ, I only asked that question to piss you off.
I'm trying to think for me.
by the way,
I can't remember if I saw Tenet in 3D or maybe 1917. I lose track because all I remember mainly about it is that it's in the IMAX screen, and I don't know whether they would have been IMAX 3D or 2D. I remember seeing maybe that or Dunkirk. The only one I vividly remember, because it was probably the last thing my mum got to see in the cinema, even though it was a few years before she passed and whatever. But because I was like, we have to see this. Actually, why am I saying that much? It was like 10 years ago, so it would have been ages before then. But I remember us as a family watching Gravity, because I was like, that makes sense for the 3D, because it wasn't like a lot of the 3D stuff still to this day is, which is sort of like the doobity 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 sort of thing. It's the subtleness of like making various things stand out, and like particles of like the space junk that sort of help with that stuff. So that's the one I vividly remember, but I would have seen other stuff beforehand, and I'm pretty sure I saw one in IMAX 3D, but I can't remember what, because I don't like to go and see 3D stuff. So it's been a while, I think.
I gotta remember if this is correct or not, AJ. I know I saw this in IMAX, so I remember telling you about it, and I was like, you'd have been losing your mind watching it. But I remember watching The Walk in IMAX,
God.
and I feel like I watched it in IMAX 3D. I'm not positive if I did or not.
You said I might have tuned you out because I was probably trying not to puke just by you describing it.
Oh my God, it was such an incredible experience. For you, it'd just be hell on earth, but I mean, for me, oh my God, it was incredible.
I was just trying to remember, now that Ashley's brought it up, I feel like they came out around the same time. Gravity probably was after Clyde with a Chance of Meatballs too, right? So
that sounds right.
So I do remember seeing Gravity in 3D. We saw it a couple of times. I think the first time we saw it in 3D.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now I'm trying to just push The Walk out of my head. When I think of The Walk, what's fucked up is that I don't even, with my height problem, because a lot of people don't realize vertigo goes both ways.
Right.
Honestly, it wasn't. When I think of The Walk and it freaking me out, it's not even the scene where he's doing the tightrope walk. It's the scene at the beginning when he goes up to the building and rests his chin on it and looks straight up. What the fuck?
Yeah, I remember that. That's fair. I'll give you that. Actually, I think we're gonna put a kibosh on the questions in chat at 8:30.
Oh, I already have, because we've got quite a few.
Oh. Okay, good. So, sorry, everyone.
Because of time and whatever, I sort of already did that sort of stuff. Because I do want to sort of briefly discuss the Comic-Con stuff that is coming. Because by the time we do the next one of these Q&As, Comic-Con will still be happening or have just sort of finished. And then for that one, whether it'll be, I'm trying to sort of so we build up to sort of the big things. So obviously, when we get to the film festivals in Venice and Toronto and London and all that, we'll talk about that stuff as well when we get to them. Thoughts on George Clooney's win for Syriana, and thoughts on Good Night and Good Luck.
I love Good Night and Good Luck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's Clooney's debut, right?
Confessions of a Dangerous Mind.
Yeah.
Confessions of a Dangerous Mind was his debut. And I'm trying to think. Did he direct one that he hasn't been in yet? I'm trying to think.
Rubicon.
Yeah. That's the only one I think he was. Because I really like Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, and Good Night and Good Luck was very good as well. Syriana, I think I felt at the time it was probably the right win, and it might still be. I can't think who else would that be, because what? Syriana's like
I would have been
15 years old now.
I would have been all over
2006.
Yeah. It was William Hurt, Matt Dillon, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Paul Giamatti. I would have been all over William Hurt there, personally.
Yeah, It was such an inside joke from back in the day. I just had to say Sirianna and AJ would just go, not off.
Look, I've tried.
I know.
Have you? Okay, Brother and Owen, have either of you seen Sirianna since the theater?
No.
No, I'm sleeping pretty good at night, so I'm worried about it.
No.
I don't, but I don't.
Yeah, it was a continuous thing that it was basically an in-joke that we all struggled with Sirianna.
Yep.
And I really, really want to love that movie. When I think about individual moments, like Tim Blake Nelson's speech, and you know, some of the Clooney scenes, like, but I don't, there's something, and I know it's not the movie. The movie is a puzzle intentionally. Like, it's not an easy movie. But I have tried. I haven't tried recently. I could try again. I own a copy of it for this very scenario whenever it's going to happen. But yeah, I don't know. I would take any of the 4 supporting actors that were alongside him over him, but I also don't. Then again, I don't know that I remember much about the subtleties of the performance. I just remember like his appearance and a scene where I think he's talking to like one of his kids or something. It's a very vague, and the scene where he's tortured. But they're all vague memories. So I could try all I know is the last time I tried Sirianna, I didn't get through it. But I still am not sure if that's a movie thing or a me thing. Obviously, it could be seen as a me thing because the movie, despite the 3 of us, has its clear acclaim. And people are saying that like it gets more and more reputation as it goes. Like, so I saw a whole article compare Tim Blake Nelson's speech to the Greed is Good speech from Wall Street, and said that it was like the new generation of that. But I'll try to sit down with it again sometime and see what happens. But Sirianna is just kind of a blurry area for me personally. I don't know about how you guys feel about it, not having visited it since the theater, but yeah.
Yeah, having looked.
You gave it multiple tries.
I think I watched it like at least twice.
Because I remember you were behind us when we saw it, and then I remember there was a day where we were all going bowling, and we had to wait for you because you were still in it. And I don't remember which time that was for you.
It was my second time, and it's like, I mean, like, I really dug Michael Clayton, but I just, like, for some reason, like, Sirianna is one thing I had to watch over and over again, because it's like, I couldn't get it the first time, and I was like, okay, let's watch it again. And that was back when I didn't care about watching stuff over and over again. Now it's like pulling teeth trying to get me to watch something over and over again, unless I really absolutely love it.
Michael Clayton,
watching Thanks Awards season.
Michael Clayton is a cakewalk compared to Sirianna. I feel like we're indirectly giving Sirianna credit for being a tough movie to swallow, but yeah.
Having looked at the list, I would put her there any day. Joey. just the subtlety of like, wait, he's actually forgotten his keys, and that's like the death scene. Oh, we haven't got the keys.
AJ, you still use Broheem to this day.
Oh yeah, when I used a phone, we would do it in text form, just randomly.
Speaking of Comic-Con, which company's in a better shape creatively at the minute, DC or Marvel? I'd honestly say neither. I think we've had an issue with Phase 4 of films not being as good as they should be. Because I think there is a good version of Doctor Strange that's out there, and considering all I've heard about the 4-hour work print version of Thor Love and Thunder being basically Thor meets Monty Python and the Holy Grail, I would like that, please.
Usually I would say that sounds terrible, but
it's Taika
Thor's
Waititi,
big problem was Love and Thunder's biggest problem is it feels like half of it's missing.
Yeah.
Oh, that doesn't bode well. I'm supposed to watch it Tuesday.
I was wondering if you had watched it yet.
No, I'm not watching it till Tuesday.
I'm very curious what you have to say, because I think it might be the MCU's worst movie.
Wow.
Even worse than The Dark World.
Yeah, but the thing I talked about in my review was it's kind of hard to say because Endgame gave The Dark World so much meaning. The Dark World feels better than it once did.
Yeah.
But it's, of course, I haven't watched The Dark World by itself for a very long time, so I really couldn't say. But I remember The Dark World being underwhelming. But that being its only problem was it was just underwhelming. It was uninteresting.
Mhm.
Love and Thunder has serious problems.
I would say DC's biggest problem is it seems like every time they take a step forward, they end up taking 3 steps back.
Yeah. Here comes a new Batman, while at the same time everybody still wants the Snyder Cut and everything. So it's like, they feel like Snyder was hard done by, but at the same time, I think some of Snyder's contributions has probably hurt DC's sort of stance and whatever. I mean, if it was his casting of Ezra Miller and The Flash and all Ezra's issues that are now affecting all that, and then like how that's all canonically different to, because I think television wise DC's knocking it out the park, at least with the Harley Quinn thing. I think that's, the fact that that's going sort of Suicide Squad-esque, but I mean, the fact that the new trailer that I saw for the new season literally has James Gunn being forced to sit on one of the characters that's morphed into like a chair or whatever, like it's that sort of humor and whatever that I think they need to have their own sort of. They need to sort of not try and copy Marvel, and I feel that's what they're trying to do with a lot of their stuff. And then when when the sub stuff comes off, like Todd Phillips' Joker, like is that canon or is that not canon? There's so many different I don't want to say multiverses because then people will go, oh look, it's Marvel stuff, but there's so many different versions that are apparently all supposed to be the same but different. Like, I don't know.
I like the direction that Joker goes in because I think DC has very strong villains, and I would not be opposed to them making more movies that focus on the villains, because I think the problem that DC runs into, and this is somebody that's a major Batman fan, you gotta have something else. You can't rely on Batman forever. You've got to develop Superman. Wonder Woman, they started good, and then Wonder Woman 84 came out and it just tore it all to pieces. They tried with Green Lantern. Ryan Reynolds, not necessarily his fault, but that movie turned out the way it did. Superman, Man of Steel had mixed reviews, and then Batman vs. Superman tanked it. So, I mean, you've got to have something. You've got to know how to do something other than getting Batman over. I mean, Marvel got the Guardians of the Galaxy over, and I didn't even know who the hell they were when I went to the movie. And DC just can't seem to get off of Batman. It's their, to put a wrestling analogy into it, Batman's their Roman Reigns. When they do it well, they do it well. But when they lean on it too hard, it's going to turn people off. Like, I love the Batman. I would love more stories about Pattinson's Batman. But I don't think we need 3 other Batmans running concurrently with it. Let's tell this story and go, and then tell a different story and go with a different character.
DC had a really good film. Wow. An okay film. But I think in hindsight is like now. Which then I think got adapted into a bit of a TV series. But imagine if you actually had alongside the Batman stuff, the John Constantine stuff. The stuff that we've seen with animated stuff, like to be similar, but obviously not directly, because it's still technically part of the DC EU or whatever they decide to call it. Which day it is.
What else I would do if I was DC to stand out from Marvel? yeah, you might lose some kids here. I'd make some rated R, more rated R movies. Give me a Batman rated R movie today.
But somebody that knows how to do the R rating, like James Gunn doing the Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't do it just for the sake of it. Like, well, not that. Never mind. I'm not going down that path. People get the wrong idea, then they'll get mad at me. And I was gonna say Mangle with Logan, because obviously Logan's great, and I'm not arguing that. But there's also a lot of try-hard stuff in Logan, like, oh, let's make him say fuck a lot because we're adult now or something, and it just felt cringy. But at the same time, seeing Logan at his full powers and what that can do without it being bloodless, like actually showing the gore of it, was something that I did find effective. So, by the way, while we're on the topic of villains, I want to throw one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, AJ.
Because I to kind of build you up from discouraging you about Love and Thunder. This isn't spoilery stuff, but I do just want to say that I have good news and bad news as far as Bale. The bad news is that he's barely in it. The good news is that when he is in it, he's an absolute fucking beast and easily the best thing about the movie by far. That's what the movie was missing, was a lot more of him. Mm-hmm. So you have that to look forward to.
But I think DC I think they have something too with some of their animated movies they put out have been pretty good. So I think DC would benefit from just stop trying to be Marvel, create your own thing and build it from the ground up, and start with your villains. I know I might get a lot of heat for this, but I think DC's villains run circles around Marvel villains.
Easily.
Yeah. Batman's Rogues Gallery alone, I would put up against anybody. And that's leaving out Lex Luthor, Gorilla Grodd, Reverse Flash, Sinestro. There's a lot of names I'm leaving out there.
You were talking about DC's animated movies. I also love when they go completely off the path and just do their own thing. Like, Gotham by Gaslight was something I was really into.
I still
like just the concept of that is
one of the best Batman experiences I had was managing to see the Japanese dub of Batman Ninja, because they literally just let's just take Batman and put him into anime sort of an anime sort of role and whatever, and like that is something that I don't think they'd even try and do with Marvel, because that'd be too risky.
Another villain movie that's coming out there focusing on Black Adam. Go that direction. You have some things you can do there, and it's different from Marvel because the only movie that Marvel had that really focused on a villain was Infinity War.
Well, Morbius and Venom.
I technically don't count those though.
Until they show up as villains, they don't count.
Yeah.
Spencer, just watched Avatar not too long ago. I still kind of love it. I don't take it too seriously, and it's a fun time. Looking forward to the sequel. Problem is, all the propaganda. It's propaganda. It's James Cameron. It probably is propaganda. Everything about that film was like, look how real and awesome it is. You know, that's why they wanted everybody to see it in 3D. That's why it took like $2 billion at the box office, because it was like, you've got to see it multiple times because, oh my god, look how real it is. So the fact that now it's being treated sort of like Judge Dredd style, as like a tongue-in-cheek thing, Cameron's probably like, I was gonna say rolling in his grave, but rolling in his bed, because he ain't dead yet. Also, I know it's a sort of, there's something like it in an Iron Man. I think that because it's called raritanium in that, and I'm pretty sure the element that they're looking for in Avatar is called unobtainium.
Yeah.
Something like that. So it's like,
Yeah, 'cause I remember Giovanni Ribisi saying it, and I was like, "Wait, run that by me again? Is it really that simple?" But I give Avatar credit where it's due. Avatar is one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen. But so is the Disney Nature Ocean movie. But I don't watch it for the plot either. Avatar is a really pretty version of Pocahontas, and that's okay because it's very beautiful. But when I watch it, it's definitely one of those I think lost its appeal once it went to the small screen.
It's Fern Gully with a budget.
That works too.
yeah, probably fair. Josephine says when they re-release the original Avatar, they should re-release The Abyss as well. The movie is so underrated.
That would be amazing. I would love to see The Abyss in a theater.
I guess to build up the hype for Chicken Run 2 over here, my local cinema is doing sort of a selective Aardman retrospective. I don't think Flushed Away is listed, but Weir Rabbit is, Early Man is, Pirates is, and I think just Farmageddon, but not the original Shaun the Sheep. It's weird.
It's an interesting choice. By the way, good luck building up hype for Chicken Run 2. I keep forgetting it's supposed to exist.
What if it ends up being like Top Gun 2, though, and everybody underestimates it, and everybody comes out like, "Oh, you really got to go watch this." Like,
Spencer, I don't think any David O. Russell movie other than Silver Linings Playbook ever made me feel that he was anything more than a middle-of-the-road director.
oh man, I love The Fighter.
Yep.
I love The Fighter. I can't tolerate any slander towards The Fighter.
My internet was being a piece of shit. What brought us to The Fighter?
Okay. Spencer said that other than Silver Linings Playbook, he feels the rest of Russell's filmography just has him as a sort of middle-of-the-road director rather than really doing exceptional stuff.
Yeah, The Fighter is my disagreement as well. Are you not big on Three Kings?
I haven't seen Three Kings in years. It's been forever.
Yeah, that was like...
That was what, 2000?
2000, I think, actually.
That sounds about right. I think it was either 2000 or 2001. But I think it's 2000.
That sounds right. I also remember really digging Flirting with Disaster. But that's not... But that's... I guess it depends on what Russell we're talking about, because there's definitely... When, like, I guess you could say, was The Fighter the turning point where we got a Russell that was... where he seemed to have found a style that he stuck to that's not quite visible instead of like Flirting with Disaster or Three Kings, where he got significant... Three Kings is kind of flashy, but he got, like, really, really flashy, especially by the time he got to American Hustle when he was trying to be Scorsese.
I do feel that Silver Lining... that sort of some of the at least the visual stylings of the three of them were very much sort of similar. Okay, it was sort of on a different scale and whatever, but then I think Joy was like something sort of different as well. So it's not so he had that sort of little spell, and then Joy sort of like went back to sort of like doing different stuff or doing a different style, which is it's weird looking at the new film and it's like this isn't like any David O. Russell stuff I've seen.
AJ, I have to ask you, with David O. Russell, even if the movie doesn't always stick, he definitely has a lot of actors that get nominated for those performances. How much of that is him versus the actors?
I get, much as I hate to say it, I guess a fair amount would have to be him because he's from the on-set stories. He sounds like a fucking drill instructor on a set. Like
Yeah.
apparently there was a moment where they were filming the diner scene, the Raisin Bran scene in Silver Linings Playbook, and behind Jennifer Lawrence, David O. Russell is laying in the booth behind her, literally just telling her how much she sucks while she's doing the scene. And I guess Amy Adams cried a lot during American Hustle. I think she said on American Hustle she cried. So that's not how I direct. But then again, when you hear that, and it's like it's kind of hard to imagine that the performances weren't influenced by this because they clearly were. But it's so like I would say begrudgingly that he has a lot to do with bringing those performances out, but like I said, he certainly doesn't use the method that I would, apparently. So, yeah.
Would you use more of the George Clooney in Confessions of a Dangerous Mind saying "Born in My Duty"?
Yeah, if anybody hasn't heard the commentary, the director's commentary for Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, I highly recommend it. Clooney sounds like a very fun director. At least on his first movie. Yeah, I don't, because that's the kind of thing that I don't quite get, and it's usually directors that I love too. Like Christoph Waltz had a story about Tarantino on Django, and Tarantino's my favorite director. Django is one of my absolute favorite movies of his, but the story that Waltz told was you have to have no technology on the set whatsoever, no cell phones or laptops or anything. And I guess at the start of a day, somebody booted up their laptop audibly. Like, they just pressed the button and it made the sound. And Tarantino said they were not shooting that day because of that. And it's like, you see the result, but I don't really relate to that kind of direction. But I mean, the result is there, obviously, but it's... I don't know.
Josephine touches on the O'Russell stuff. She said flirting with disaster and I Heart Huckabees are good, but supposedly he verbally harassed Amy Adams on the set of American Hustle, and called Lily Tomlin a word that rhymes with hunt and starts with C on the set of I Heart Huckabees.
That video is legendary, and I love that she gives it back to him.
Lorraine says if fictional movie characters were real for one day, just for 24 hours, and you could choose to do one thing with any character, what would you do?
Ooh, this could get dirty, but are we not going in that direction?
Ooh.
We won't go down that road. We're professionals here, right?
I mean, if it was for one day and everything stood from what happened with that one day, bar obviously the day they
What was
got
the question
caught,
again? Because you were...
if fictional
What was the
movie
question
characters
again?
were real,
Kind of cut out there.
if fictional movie characters were real for 24 hours, and you could choose to do one thing with any character, what would you do? I'd go into the card counting crap that the characters in 21 got involved in, and get all the money.
Because that's a good strategy.
But it's sort of like that sort of like somebody finds the sort of thing to sort of get round the system, and it's just a question of whether they get caught, because obviously they do get caught in the end. But like, I thought of like just, I feel like sort of, at least from the way they presented in the film, like just hanging out for them would just be sort of like, it involved knowledge and sort of cleverness, because they're obviously having to do everything. But it's also not like with James Bond, where more than likely you're just gonna win a little bit, and he'd just be sort of a show off and boast. Like, oh, you've done that, I've done this. Whereas, like, at least the people in 21 feel like normal people that you could just have a regular conversation with and not, like, feel down on yourself. Like, oh, I wish I could do something cool like that.
Owen, I hope I'm not stealing your answer, but I would love to do a training shift at the Quick Stop and just harass customers and shoot the shit all day about movies.
That's a good one. That's a really good one, actually. Quick Stop would be great. I'm also thinking, I am thinking Kevin Smith. Mallrats would be great too.
I went to a toy convention yesterday, and I saw a Brody action figure that I damn near picked up.
Yeah. Pick up those in action figures, but it's just like I don't have any like room for anything. I got no room for my AEW figures, much less anything else. Or I'd already have the Batman 66 figure.
Mm-hmm.
I want them. Yeah, there's
They
lots.
They announced a Villain's Lair playset today.
Oh God, that sounds amazing.
Once I get my diorama built, I'll definitely feature it on the channel and show it.
Please do. I need a detail of something fierce, but I don't have a way to get one because number one, they're too expensive, and number two, I have no place to put it, so that's a problem. Yeah, there's some really good ones. I like that idea. That's a good one. I also like the idea of the final competition, the final show in A Mighty Wind. That'd be fun to be a part of.
My answer is unfortunately probably very predictable coming from me, so I apologize for that.
And the end of Rouge, of course.
What was that?
The end of Moulin Rouge.
No. Are you sure you want to? It gets pretty sad there. Are you sure you want to be with them?
I mean, I'd say Silver Linings Playbook. Been there, done that. So I can't really say that. So maybe Casablanca. That's a good one.
What are you doing with them?
I'm basically like I'm an outsider, just watching how everything unfolds.
Yeah, mine's kind of obvious and predictable, but I'm spending a day with Cliff Booth, driving around LA, going to movie sets. They don't mention this in the movie. In the book, when he's not helping out Cliff, or like when we see him in the movie just driving around LA, he's going to movies.
Yeah.
He's picking up Margaret Qualley, who wants to blow him while he drives. I mean, and if somebody comes up to you that like feels threatening, you've got a literal killing machine as your best friend. It's and as the book goes into the movie does a little bit. The book goes a lot into great detail. Every time he kills somebody, he gets away with it.
That's right. Yeah, that is true. I have the same book you do. So yeah.
It's like I would, yeah, that's exactly what I'd want to do.
There's so many great answers I could go with on this too. It's like this question is like so loaded. It's not even funny.
AJ, I'm surprised you didn't opt for a meal at Jack Rabbit Slim's.
That's a good one too.
Yeah, but of course, if we're using the whole 24 hours, I feel like Cliff is probably the best way to go since that's just literally his whole life. And yeah, because at night then you go get to hang out with Brandy and watch Mannix. I mean, or you go to Rick's house and watch FBI. Didn't that look so fun?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I think I hanging out at the Quick Stop in RST probably makes sense because then I can basically make an entire day out of that.
Yes, as soon as we're done here, the rest of my night is going to be laying here staring at the ceiling, wishing I was Cliff Booth. That's going to be the rest of the night.
That's fair. Lorraine, thank you for bringing the great questions. To have you back. Yes. Josie has more. Oh yeah, you can tell how long ago it's been. Going live momentarily, guys.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Josie has a question for Chris.
What's your favorite Afterlife film?
My favorite what?
Afterlife film.
Oh,
AJ's gonna
wait,
answer
while you
for
think about
us.
that, we had this question. We had this question before you were here, and there was one that I forgot.
Oh, right.
I never mentioned Here Comes Mr. Jordan. Here Comes Mr. Jordan should have been like one of the first ones I said, and I completely forgot about it when we had that question before.
Favorite Afterlife movie? Oh, man. Oh, that one's really tough. You might have to come back to me on that one. I might need a minute to think of that one.
Well, Josephine sort of goes deeper into the afterlife stuff, I guess, for all of us to go with. What do you think makes a great afterlife film? When I look at like the films that are considered great, like Defending Your Life and Matter of Life and Death, what they all seem to have in common is, first of all, compelling characters and fascinating world building of their afterlife, as well as the relationship and the coinciding between the afterlife and the earthbound world.
For me, I'd love to see a very creative afterlife, because that's the one thing that other than the future in movies, that's the one thing that we don't know for sure what it's going to look like. So I always appreciate when people have fun with it. Not necessarily a movie per se, but I do love the scene where Larry David goes to heaven in Curb.
And get prior. The thing about me, and I've mentioned this before. I mentioned it the last time it came up, and I mentioned it in my Defending Your Life video. But yeah, all that stuff for sure. But this probably goes into the world building. But with the fact that I fear death on like a minute by minute basis, like it's a thought that's just constantly in my head that I can't get out, and I'm just having a constant existential crisis at all times. The reason I love afterlife movies is when the ones that make it seem really comforting.
Mm-hmm.
Like where they have this really relaxing atmosphere about them, and like this, I'm not really sure how to describe it. Like I said, like something like The Green Pastures is a movie that does that. And like Cabin in the Sky, that era of afterlife movies. But Here Comes Mr. Jordan was kind of in that area also. Where they just make it look like this peaceful thing more than anything else before they go into their actual stories. I'd say that probably falls into the world building aspect. So
I also have to, it's a funny answer, but I'm semi-serious about it. I have to throw a bone to Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
It's listed on here.
I'm guessing these are related. Lorraine and Josephine saying that important 155, and Josephine saying congrats on your weight loss, Owen.
Thank you, Josie.
Bryce, since the last... Oh, go ahead.
Kind of fluctuating right now. We'll get there. 155 is not that far away.
Bryce says, since the last hangout, I did watch The Judge yesterday, and this afternoon watched Timbuktu. And as much as I loved Robert Duvall's job in The Judge, J.K. Simmons should have got supporting actor. What was that for?
Whiplash, right?
I thought he won for Whiplash, didn't he? Or was it? Am I just getting the bad?
I think he's saying he loved Duvall, but he agrees that Simmons should have won.
See.
Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, Simmons is a deserved win for supporting actor. I mean, I didn't read it fully.
Man, you want to go on a J.K. Simmons tour de force? Watch the series Oz.
I still need to do that.
There's also that new series he's in with Sissy Spacek that I've heard good things of. It's on Amazon. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
Yeah, because when I saw the first 3 episodes months ago, it had a different title, so I didn't realize it had come out.
Oh wait, they changed it. Wow.
when I saw it, it was called Light Years, which I can see why they would change it now, but the timing's a little.
What were you gonna say, Chris?
J.K. Simmons for me is becoming one of those actors that if the movie he's in isn't great, he's probably still going to be great in it.
I'm trying to look for this.
Being the Ricardos.
Oh, I see. It's called Night Sky. I think.
Still a waste of a nomination, but he did what he could.
And then, of course, we do have him coming up in season 2 of Invincible. Oh, that should be good, hopefully. Looks like Owen is doing the Twister ride. I mean, considering the weather there, that might not be a great thing to say.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, it was kind of like me on location walking back from Target. Actually, I didn't go to Target. I just went to Culver's.
Twister was on TV today. How funny.
So, fun fact, I don't know if I ever told this on the network before, because we're getting further into the show than I'd like to. Great, I don't have to work until like 10:30 tomorrow, so it makes it easier. But I will say right now that I was writing Twister. Or I guess you would say experiencing Twister, because Twister is not technically a ride, it's an experience. Or it was. It's where Jimmy Fallon is now. And I came off Twister, and if you watch the movie, the ride itself, or the experience itself, Twister Ride It Out, is basically just a simulation of a natural tornado. With Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt like guiding you through it, and they looking like they're anywhere, wanting to be anywhere but the places they are, and they're on this side and this side of the screen. Inside joke, all the memes, it's real. At the end of the day, I get out of Twister and I get a phone call, and it's from my stepmom, and it's an interesting pickup, and I was like, all right, hi, and basically informed me that while I was Twister Ride It Out, my dad was quite literally stuck in it, and he has not been the same since. So yeah, it's really interesting. The fact that when I was experiencing Twister, so was my dad. Not funny, haha, but funny as in, well, that's Alanis Morissette, God herself for you.
Don't you think?
Exactly. Brian continues.
Only got 2 Blu-ray since last time. The Descendants at Books A Million. And at Target, they got Mitchell's versus the Machines. Which I always find weird coming out on DVD because it's a Netflix film. What's it doing outside of... What's it doing outside of Netflix? Like, they want you to actually just watch it? Like, you know, Stranger Things. They could do a DVD or Blu-ray set of that. No. Just get Netflix. Think of all, like, the money you could make off that. They're idiots. I cannot wait for Amazon Prime Day this week. See, Amazon Prime over here is over 2 days now, even though they call it Prime Day. Is it like that over with you guys as well now, or is it just 1 day? Nobody knows.
I'm not sure. I've only ever seen just the Prime Day, but I've never taken advantage of it or anything. I don't know.
I know over here it's
I just buy stuff from Pro Wrestling
Tuesday and Wednesday. Randomly. James Caan grew up in Lorraine's neighborhood.
Oh,
There we go.
that's cool. Not surprised given where you're from.
Timothy says how Caan was really good in the original Godfather. Bryce says if you do watch The Judge, there's 4 to 5 vomit moments. It's an advance warning or whatever. Speaking of Blu-rays, Universal Soldier and RoboCop recently got 4K remasters. RoboCop would be interesting.
I'm noticing with the second mention of Universal Soldier now how it's interesting what movies have this sort of perceived importance only after they reach a milestone in life. Or it's like we were talking about with Cool World, and it's like that's okay. So it's technically lived long enough, but I wouldn't say that an anniversary is going to make a movie better.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think whether Universal Soldier. There's been like 5, hasn't there? At least. The only ones I remember
I
is
lost
1
track
and 2.
after the.
Yeah, I just remember the first 2, but I think there are more. Most of them are straight to the video. Then again, nearly all the RoboCop sequels I think were straight to video, and that weird animated TV series.
Yeah, 1 through 3 were theatrical. I don't know what the hell the rest of those were.
Best movie about robots? Asks Spencer.
We already asked to answer this a couple of shows ago.
What was it?
Best movie about robots, because I said take a shot. I said Short Circuit.
If we did, I'm struggling to remember what I said. I feel like we had multiple choice last time.
Yeah.
But I'm not positive.
I mean, first one that comes to mind will be Blade Runner.
Yeah. That was literally my first thought.
That's like the subtlety of knowing, is it a robot? It's like the old Turing test. It's like, am I speaking to an artificial intelligence? Take a shot. Or
feeling
is
about
it actually human?
Feeling about Blade Runner the way I do, literally, I heard that question. I was like, what do I say since I can't say Blade Runner?
You could always just say robots.
That was honestly the second movie that came to mind.
I've heard, although I didn't get a chance to see it, I've heard good things for Robot and Frank. Not Robot and Frank.
Yeah.
Brian and Charles, the one that came out over here this past week, at the same time as For Love and Thunder. Hence why no cinemas are showing it round near me. Thanks, For Love and Thunder, you bastards.
That's what the question before was, wasn't it? It was a question about like robots that befriend each other or something.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things you can go with here if you're looking at like the list of like popular robot movies.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't say WALL-E right away, because that's probably my answer.
WALL-E's definitely a great one.
WALL-E's up there, yeah.
WALL-E is probably the all-time best possible answer.
I think I remember getting this question because we all teased AJ and asked him why he didn't go with Real Steel.
Yeah. Wait, how 9000's technically a robot, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Then
is he more of an AI then?
Westworld?
Yeah, what's the we got to figure out what the difference is.
Typist Guide.
You see, with Westworld, you've got either the original film or the TV series. Slightly less said about Future World, the better.
I have a definitive answer for this. Terminator 2.
Oh, Jesus.
Can't say anything.
I can't. When a question has the most obvious answer, those are the ones I always fuck up. Yes, of course it's T2. Of course it is. I don't know.
I gotta roll with T2.
How long were we on this question before T2 got brought up?
Longer than we probably should have been. But I guess you could make the argument. No, well,
All the
No, because
question
Terminator's not a
was
cyborg. They're fully robotic.
all the question was best film about robots. It wasn't necessarily about like human
Featuring
relationships and whatever, or
I would still say T2 is about robots. It's about Terminator
it's obviously
driving-
about Judgment Day and Linda Hamilton turning into a skeleton.
Yeah. So it would be like, so T2 does count. 2001 probably doesn't, if we're going by
Yeah.
that criteria.
No, I would say the difference would be a robot is more like a physical being that can do things, and HAL falls
Yeah.
more under AI, where it's more of an intelligence program.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was, and
But,
yeah,
but then you can also have a crossover of the two. Like Ultron is an AI that happens to be a robot.
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. Shout out particularly to the Westworld movie, because as much as I worship at the altar of Evan Rachel Wood, but I got past the first season of Westworld, the show, and I'm just not into it. That was like 4 years ago, and I never went back to it. But yeah.
I was going to say, for somebody as a joke, were they going to say that one with Andy Kaufman? With all the robots?
Heartbeats.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
How I brought a war wound up.
I can't even bring myself to say it as a joke.
Lorraine said something like it also wasn't listed for the Chicago films, although that might not count because they do escape from Chicago. Then Lorraine says, I adore The Exorcist, but the more I think of it, the more I think the movie wasn't as good as the book. I think this is going back to the book and film stuff. Too many people who watch the film but haven't read the book don't get that Karas is the title character.
She is the biggest Damien Karras mark on the face of planet Earth.
Yeah, because that's why she didn't like Exorcist 3, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I get it. I love The Exorcist 3, but I get it.
Hang on, is Karas in Legion but not Exorcist 3? I can't remember which order it was.
Legion is Exorcist 3, isn't it?
There's two different cuts, isn't there?
Is there?
Yeah, there's like I think it's on the Blu-ray one. There's like two different versions. There's the Blatty like cut that he wanted to make, and there's the one that actually got released. But now, because that cut went around, that's like the one that's also seen as, I can't remember. Hang on, I'll just have a Exorcist 3. I'm trying to remember what the terminology is. So yeah, The Exorcist 3 Legion from 1990. If it loads up, I'll quickly head off in a minute. Yeah, the director's cut. Yeah, Scream Factory released a 2-disc collector's edition, including the supposed lost footage, or whatever. So yeah, what I'm talking about is sort of there's like a version that's called or referred to just as Legion that isn't really Exorcist 3. It's like it's sort of like Love and Thunder.
This is starting to sound.
It's Love and Thunder. The deleted scenes got put back in and probably made it a better film.
That sounds familiar now. I might have even mentioned that in my video and completely forgot about it.
Oh, this is when Ashley just disappears randomly. Okay. Josie says, I read the novel Where the Crawdads Sing was fantastic. It's not this week. because I'm going to Sad Summerfest on Friday, so I can see water parks. But it's next week, which is the same week that Nope comes out, which I'm actually watching a special sneak preview of Nope on next Tuesday. I'm looking forward to that. And Where the Crawdads Sing is going to be probably tacked on with... I haven't decided what I want to do with Thor and Lightyear yet. I guess we'll see what I decide with. Same with Minions. I don't know. I mean, I got time. I might as well devote a movie day to eating it, to staying at Springs and eating, getting and things like that. So it's probably what I'm doing. Josie says, I also finished reading the novel of Poor Things. What a trip. A very interesting feminist take on the Frankenstein story and a satire on Victorian ideas. And Spencer piggybacks off that and says, best movie adaptations of Dracula and Frankenstein.
Dracula for me is Herzog's Nosferatu.
That's fair.
Mine's Coppola.
Nice.
I watch it every Halloween.
I haven't for a while. I need to again. I watched Brownings again recently. And Frankenstein may just be James Whale's movie, the original.
My favorite's Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Best movie you saw as a child?
I was going to say best...
In general?
I was going to put in on the... on the Dracula and Frankenstein, I think the Hammer Dracula is the best. Closely followed by the Spanish one from 1930, which is somehow better than the American one, even though it's practically the same thing.
Pretty crazy how many times it's been done, how many actual great versions of Dracula there are.
Yeah. And then with Frankenstein, I'd probably give the edge to the original 30s one. But I think Curse of again, Hammer did a very good job with it. You know, better than modern adaptations have done, at least with Frankenstein. Best movie saw as a child?
Is that in theaters or in general, or? I mean, if it's in theaters, I've got a cop-out answer that might be my real answer anyway.
I will take this question and say the best movie I watched as a child and I appreciated how good it was as a child would probably be Forrest Gump.
That's a good one.
Because, for me, obviously an easy answer would be Batman '89, but I didn't appreciate it till I was an adult.
I think I'd have to go back to Cannonball Run. I watched that movie so many times growing up. Oh my god! And Sesame Street followed that bird. I don't know why that one always comes back. And the original Power Rangers movie.
I'm trying to think of an alternate answer to The Wizard of Oz and The Lion King because they're too easy.
Pretty in Pink's a good one for me.
Yeah, because the cop-out answer I was going to bring up is if it was just in theaters. In 1999, when I was 8 or 9, they re-released The Wizard of Oz in theaters for its 60th anniversary. So I saw it in theaters that early, which was nice.
Original Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah, I actually credit that time period as to when I really started getting into movies, period.
I'm trying to think. When I got to eventually see it on DVD because I would have been too young. Oh no, I would have. I saw it on DVD instead of at the cinema, but I think the Firstborn film was one of the first things that because I think that was a 12, the first one. It only went 15 when Greengrass took over. In that respect, but then in terms of like television stuff, because it was like tentpole stuff. I vaguely remember when they had the television premiere of GoldenEye, which would have been probably 98, because at the time it was sort of like the turnaround time for at least stuff on the main channels over here would be about 3 years. So obviously, because I do remember, it's depressing that my first Bond film at a cinema was Die Another Day. I can never change that.
It was mine too. I'm right there with you.
Yep.
They couldn't have released any of the old ones because it was the 40th anniversary and whatever, like they did with just now, with the 25th one and 60 years, but whatever.
I have a specific memory of you and I walking around the mall when The World Is Not Enough was out, and we were already into GoldenEye by then, and we had toyed with the idea of going, but we never did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we had known that Die Another Day was going to be the next opportunity, we probably would have gone The World Is Not Enough. Not that it's like significantly better or anything, but it would have been better than Die Another Day.
Because we would have been too young for like GoldenEye.
Ashley, rapid fire.
Cassie says I'd have to say La La Land and Notebook in terms of love stories. Maybe music and lyrics.
That's a good one.
I thought The Notebook came to mind when that question was asked.
You could go with those bus driver options, guys. Love Bridge Terabithia. Great love stories off the top of my head from Josephine. Love Jones. Is that? I don't recognize that one. Punch Drunk Love, Some Kind of Wonderful, and Phantom Thread.
Phantom Thread's a good answer.
Thanks for the picture again, Josie. I live for the little emojis and that.
And there's a lot of great afterlife films like A Matter of Life and Death, Defending Your Life, Here Comes Mr. Jordan, and Heaven Can Wait. That was put before you said it, AJ.
Heaven Can Wait's a great answer.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you. It's not Gonna Go Houses maybe that year it was, but there's a couple of other ones. Like every single Plum House except for the first one in Texas Chainsaw. I'm guessing that's relation to maybe Friday the 13th and whatever.
Probably. Yeah, I haven't. The only house I got to experience with was Freddy vs. Jason, and I absolutely hated that house.
Josephine says, I love Moody's point sketch in The Amanda Show. Classic. Amanda, please. A friend of mine once pointed out that Dan Schneider, creator of The Amanda Show, and as well as all that, and Drake and Josh, doesn't like doctors. Because he's always make the doctors baddies. Like in Moody's Point, the whole toe situation. And then randomly we also have Brandon Looney Tunes fan 2000 saying, "What's up, Doc? I'm new here. I just subscribed to you."
Thank you.
That's a good segue to Comic-Con, I guess, because we've got comic stuff, I guess, because Looney Tunes and whatever.
So your Comic-Con stuff, I have something that's going to predicate on that, but Major the big one, Comic-Con. And the fact that apparently we're getting what it sounds like, Ashley, I don't know if you heard this yet, but we're getting a Rip and Zeus 2-pack for the San Diego Comic-Con hotel. So for No Holds Barred 2-pack, we've been wanting these figures forever, and looks like we're finally getting them. One of the things is the fact Clerks 3 just had its trailer drop a couple days ago, and there's a subsequent thing that's going along with it, that they're doing 2 nights in theaters, and they're also doing a special screening and Q&A, kind of like they did with Reboot with the Roadshow. They announced their first several dates. Surprise, surprise, Orlando's not one of them. But there's only announced 19 dates so far. They're going to announce October dates at San Diego Comic-Con. So I'm holding out that I'll have a final chance to finally meet Kevin Smith proper and during Horror Nights, as long as it's not on a night that I work. So it's got to be Monday or Tuesday night. So I'm not holding out hope it's going to happen.
I'm trying to search this because the first thing I'm looking at the list of like major stuff that's happening. So a couple of Hall H's deals. Why is it not? It's not even listed here. Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I'm trying. Is this like straight to DVD? Because it seems like. Oh, there we go. It does have a Wikipedia page. It's just if I search Honor Among Thieves, it doesn't come up. Oh, it's definitely not It's definitely not minor, considering it's got Chris Pine and Justice Smith and Regis-Jean Page and Hugh Grant. There are actual people in it that are famous. So they're doing a panel there. I am I'm hoping that, I mean, it says that Hugh Grant's playing Forge Fletcher, and I don't know who that character is within the sort of deeper lore. Then again, it basically is sort of a reboot. Of course it's a reboot to the series. The other one was absolutely terrible from what I remember. Apart from Jeremy Irons chewing every single bit of scenery that was in the thing. Maybe that's what Hugh Grant's doing. In which case, yes.
It's weird. It's weird to think of Hugh Grant playing another Fletcher after The Gentleman, because that's all I think of now.
Co-written by Chris McKay as well. Or at least the story was co-written by Chris McKay. And from directors that I don't recognise exactly. Mainly TV stuff, I think.
Didn't Chris McKay do the Lego Batman movie?
Yes.
That's kind of promising.
And Tomorrow War, which is less promising.
I didn't mind the way I feel about Chris Pratt. I actually didn't mind the Tomorrow War. That's another great appearance from J.K. Simmons as well.
And did uncredited rewrites for Doolittle.
Oh God.
What did he have to clean up? That's what I want to know. How bad was it before he made it slightly bad, rather than very bad? There's also Hall H is going to have a William Shatner panel. Or sorry, a William Shatner talk. Of course, moderated by Kevin Smith. Because of course it is. Just looking at television stuff. Koala Man. A brand new animated comedy from the creators of Rick and Morty and Pokemon Detective Pikachu. I didn't know we needed those two things to combine. But whatever. Okay. Disney Channel's Marvel's Moon Man and Devil Dinosaur. I guess that's for kids. Because it says Disney Channel rather than, Disney Plus. 40 Years of Masters of the Universe. Again being headlined by Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith's just taking over Hall H on Thursday, apparently, it seems.
That.
Oh, God. What's that? National Treasure Edge of History. Oh, God. They're actually doing they're doing a Disney Plus series on National Treasure. Whether it's a prequel or not, I don't know. I don't care about other panels. That's not what we're talking about. Movies. Dragon Ball Super. Green Lantern Beware My Power. I'm guessing this is animated. Okay, there's a panel here that's called Simon Pegg is Nandor Fodor, Paranormal Investigator. What is this? It says it's related to a film. Okay. When's the fucking important stuff, like Hall H? Okay, so Marvel are doing their stuff on Saturday. Which I guess means DC is doing their stuff on Sunday? It's not even listed. Thanks, you stupid website. Should I just search Comic-Con, like, what's going on? I guess the big thing from Comic-Con is, like, considering how the Black Panther film is coming out in November and we still have no trailer for it, that's probably showing up. Otherwise, that would be a mess. I guess the big thing will be as well, what do they do with the Flash? Okay, so apparently
Just scrap
DCEU,
Ezra Miller and make it the third Michael Keaton Batman movie.
DCEU apparently going to be focusing mainly on Black Adam and Shazam. They are not wanting to bring up the other one at all, apparently. Okay, Paramount Plus are doing something, but I don't know what. Keanu Reeves is doing something for a Berserker panel? What is this? Oh, it's Boom Studios. Oh, it's Netflix. Oh, written by Keanu Reeves. Okay. Fair play, he's getting into doing stuff. Paramount Plus bringing Star Trek back to Comic-Con. That's nice. Probably rubbish. Oh, and also House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones prequel thing, is showing up. I'm surprised that Amazon aren't doing something to hype up the Lord of the Rings thing they've got coming up in a few months as well. I'd have thought they'd have wanted attention on that. Sorry, I thought there was going to be actual notes of like what's actually going to be talked about and whatever, but apparently nobody knows because we're in this annoying gap that they only announce it within 2 weeks of the thing happening. So we're like right on that cusp that they're probably not getting all the details through. But I'm trying to think what would be the big nice surprise that Marvel would drop. Would they actually announce the Fantastic Four cast and announce John Krasinski isn't there and we worked you? I'm trying to work out who would be... Who would you recast the Fantastic Four as right now? I guess that can be our rounding out question. I guess stay with Krasinski for Fantastic. Batista would be a good Ben Grimm, I would say. Who would be a good Johnny Storm? I'm trying to think of... I can't think of the top of my head. And then I'm trying to think somebody age specific that would actually be good in a relationship with Krasinski. And I don't want to say Emily Blunt because that's already been done. Thanks, Quiet Place.
Like I've just said countless times, she has much more to offer the movie world than getting a contract that eats up her time like Marvel does. So I would never want them to go that route. She has much more important things to do.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll be talking about... I mean, if they announce... Obviously, AJ won't be talking about trailers, but I guess if they do announce, like, casting deals or whatever, like they sometimes, or have previously done, when Comic-Cons have happened in person, we'll probably be reacting to them next week. You probably will in chat as well, maybe. You know. Keep that in mind for 2 weeks' time. As we start building towards August. where the awards machine comes in, the smelter will start smelting. Or something.
How are we already here almost?
God, let's get this year over with. Get out this July garbage, get it over with. Let's get done with August. I want to go to Horror Nights. Let's do this. We're going home. So, yeah, if you're still around, thank you for joining us. If you're not, then thank you for joining us previously. We appreciate having everyone here, whether live or in archive. Tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be talking Airheads. Cannot wait. Super excited. And the big caveat here, and give you a nice little reason to show up other than the fact that we're talking about a really underrated comedy from the 90s, again, is the fact that you're going to see the 3 other members of the panel get to pick a movie, and we're going to find out which one of theirs is going to be our next pick. And that's going to be Chris's first official pick. So that should be really interesting to see where we go with this.
And we'll try and do it right at the start, so those of you that don't want to sit in on Airheads and whatever, you can still get your vote in and whatever. You know, it's a shame you can't be in, but you know, if that's how you feel about Airheads, so be it.
Yeah, what were we? We were almost half an hour into Mr. Ripley, and we were like, "Oh shit, we need to do the poll."
Yeah.
Correct. So yeah, that's gonna be our show tonight. So it's not next week; it's the week after. That's going to be when we find out our next Q&A show, and also our next Popcast Movie Club, which is going to be predicated on the winner of this vote, which is going to happen tomorrow night before we start our Airheads discussion. That's going to be your show for tonight. Thanks, everyone, for joining us, whether live or in archive. It was great having everyone here tonight. It was great having Josie and Brian and Spencer, and it was nice having Lorraine back. Great seeing Cassie. Brandon, welcome to the fun. We'll all enjoy that. Thank you for subbing to us, and hopefully you'll enjoy what you're seeing here on the network. We have a lot of great movie content on this channel. Like Ashley mentioned, we're going to be starting our awards coverage in a couple of weeks. So yeah, can't wait for that. End of August, right before I go away to Halloween Horror Nights, is going to be the first predictions of this season. So we're going to be talking about a lot of movies I like and probably a lot of movies I don't. And a lot of movies that are unknown at this point. So we'll get to that in the near future. Chris, we'll start with you. You cannot be found on social media that I'm aware of. But if you want to leave a comment for Chris, or you want to chime in and do a QA for Chris that's outside of the show, you're more than welcome to do so. Ashley can be found on Twitter at AshIsMyNameUK. More Snack Stash is still to come. More gaming content still to come.
Hopefully going on the channel in the next few days. That was filmed a few days back.
Okay. Ton of sip and snacks still to come. AJ, of course, just like Keith Richards, cannot be killed by conventional weapons, and of course cannot be found on any social media networks. But if you want to leave him a comment, he won't get back to you in several years. Oh no, he'll probably just chime in on a QA show. So yeah, if you want to leave a comment, feel free to do so. If you have any ideas for Sip and Snack versus the other radio segments of the network, feel free. Shoot us an email at mine, which is throwindisney@gmail.com, or just leave a comment. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at throwindisney. And I got plenty of Sip and Snacks, plenty of Voices of Liberty content. And I'm going to go see Water Parks on Friday, and I can't freaking wait. Sad Summer Fest, presented by Journeys, which ties into an old popcaster from the past, Ben, who famously said how much he hated Ronnie Radke and like ticked everyone off. So that was entertaining. He used to work at Journeys, and that's the reason why that tie-in is there. So yeah, we're going to be talking about that, and I'll probably give you a nice little update of me being in the pit for that show. Should be really fun. That's going to be your show for today. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Until next time, have the best day ever. Be very nice. Be very evil. Stream Funeral Grey. When Brainwashed comes out, stream Brainwashed and stream Self-Sabotage. Until next time, girls. That's all we got to say about that.